Just give a moment. The stream should be up any second now. And looks like it is up. I'm going to start sharing it.
Maybe I'll do the same.
Master League Champion Division Draft with PogoRaids. Drops. All right. Awesome. All right.
We're live.
We are live.
Nice.
We have Evan Holden in the chat, Oscarlicious, Hector. It's going, Dudley. All right. So the format. Jim, I'll wait for you to get perfect. Joined today with Jimma Banks.
Yeah.
Jimma, you want to give a short intro to yourself?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Jimma Banks, big PvP fanatic. Dankjewel for having me. That's Dutch for thank you very much.
Okay.
And
fun
they're a little
fact.
Dutch.
Fun fact. Like I think 5 of the 8 people are Dutch, on or something like that. A lot of them are from the Netherlands.
I painted the room orange just for the show my Dutch pride. So very exciting Master League draft we're gonna have here. Very exciting.
Yeah, no, I'm quite excited. I really like the draft format, and I think Master League is Master League does get some criticism for being very limited, just because the Pokemon with the best stats and the best typing tend to do the best because the CP is not scaled down, right? That's not a limiting factor. But the draft format makes it super interesting. So I've shoutcasted I think 4 different Master League draft battles. And today we're going to be covering the actual draft process, so you can get a better understanding of team composition, what Pokemon are good, what Pokemon work well together and have really good chemistry, like we saw in I think it was in Annie Bear, who's one of the competitors, or Annie Bear competitors here, that I think he showed off Dialga and Lugia being a really great compliment, because Dialga, one of the best Pokemon in all of Pokemon Go PvP, is unfortunately very weak to fighting and to ground, and Lugia being a flying psychic Pokemon pairs really well. So I think this will be really good prep for those that want to get ready for Go Battle League Master League content.
Yeah, Niantic really doing their part too to keep Kakuna Matata working and updating these lists, because even though some may feel it's limited, the new moves being added or edited slightly are really shaking up the meta in different ways.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a lot of people had some thoughts and some considerations on especially people that did these Master League drafts, that maybe PvPoke wasn't fully reflective of the Master League meta, which is probably a fair criticism, just because most of the users were from mostly primarily playing Great League. But after a lot of suggestions from myself and some other people that participated in this draft and that are on Twitter, we have a more accurate list. So we're going to see how well does PvPoke actually predict the Master League meta, or these players that actually go and play it actually understand what are the different nuances. So it should be pretty interesting. And I think we'll get some additional insights on Master League that will go beyond PvPoke and some of the things that we've seen in the past.
For sure, these draft tournaments, you always see very creative minds, these are some of the top players, right, showing their skills, and I'm sure strategy numbers come in to play, but also maybe their favorite Pokemon as well, being drafted in those teams.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So how did we get here today? So these are the top 8 competitors from season 2 or 1. I can't remember what iteration this is. From the previous iteration of the draft, they either won or they did really well in their previous draft format. So these players dominated their previous competition. But now they're going up against the best of the best. So it's always, for me, I always find it really interesting to see people that like dominate, quote unquote, their local competition, right? In this case, not really local. This is a remote draft, but their previous competition. Now they're going to come together and see like how they're gonna fare. And as well, a lot of their battles have been shoutcasted by myself in the past. So some of those strategies have been revealed. So we're going to see how they're going to adjust, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see. So I'm going to let them know to go ahead and get started with the draft process. And we are starting off with Osa. So.
Yeah, I'm just bringing up the draft order list. I was just about to ask who drafts.
Yeah,
first.
so it's in the order of so we're gonna have Osa. I'm not gonna say the whole name because I'm definitely gonna pronounce it. So they're gonna go ahead and start off. Okay, they're all watching apparently. So I think there's gonna be some like really interesting picks and considerations here, and should be pretty exciting. What do you think is gonna go number one?
Ooh,
So
number one.
so PV Poke says that Dialga is number one. But,
Right.
you know, I've heard some considerations. Some people that have done their own custom rankings says Giratina Origin is actually number one.
I like that Giratina Origin form is one of my favorite. I'm working on it as my buddy. I think even if you pick outside, you know, something in the top 10 is going to be very viable, of course, even in the top 20. But for the first overall pick, I would select Giratina. But
Okay,
you never know, right?
I'm going to only play this once so I don't get copyright striked. There's some draft music, but number one was actually Dialga, so
Okay.
no surprises there. Let me just actually make sure he said Dialga.
Very solid first overall pick. It's got a decent variety of typing moves, right? You've got Dragon's Breath, and then I think a lot of people go with Iron Head and Thunder.
I think Thunder is definitely a consideration. I think a lot of people like Draco Meteor now for the nuke. Now it's less energy,
Nice.
so it's actually made Dialga actually better. So which is kind of crazy to think of, like that Dialga.
The number one is better now.
is better with Draco Meteor, and that Draco Meteor nuke does so much damage, even when resisted, but does result in a 2-stage debuff. And the number 2 pick from B Topher is what do you think it is, Gemma?
Gotta go Giratina, but I maybe should have looked. They let us know what some of their favorites are. I'm gonna say Giratina until it's off the board.
So number 2 was actually Togekiss, and
interesting.
it's a very interesting pick. You would think like Togekiss maybe not go as high if you're not familiar with Masters, but Togekiss is by far the best fairy Pokemon in all of Masters. It has that additional bulk, which really makes a huge difference in Masters. In Ultra, in Great League, it's really debatable because all the CPs scale down. But when it comes to Masters, when these Pokemon can go to level 40 or potentially level 41, which we'll talk about a little bit later, we'll see that Togekiss actually stands out on top and is actually able to win. Is actually able to win a lot of neutral matchups. So a really great pick at number 2.
It's a very charming Pokemon.
Yes, absolutely. And actually, when I got Charm, I was super excited because I think we were all wondering whether or not any fairy type Pokemon would ever get fairy type fast move. And when they released Charm, I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And I don't think we've realized the full potential of Charm when it first came out, because in the Sylph Cup, it was only really accessible to Wigglytuff,
Right.
which is maybe not the best cup for it. It certainly shook it up, but it wasn't dominant. But we definitely see it in Masters being a really big check because there are a lot of dark Pokemon and there are a lot of dragons. And
big shout out to Niantic for those move updates, like you said, Draco Meteor being changed, and of course Charm being added.
Yeah, and we have a VLFPH. I should ask him how you want his names pronounced. What do you think he selected?
Giratina.
Giratina.
Sure I'm
Yeah.
wrong.
So no, you're actually correct. So he did select a Giratina origin form.
Confirmed. we get a
So,
shiny Giratina day.
ooh, I think that will be coming hopefully soon. I think that'll be a
Yeah.
very popular. I wouldn't even be surprised if that was even next because they've certainly geared up Pokemon that are going to be really good in PvP Master League. Like we're gonna get Heatran coming
Right.
soon. Um, so, what do you think? What do you think? Yowza actually selected.
Is he gonna go Dragonite? I know Snorlax. I'm gonna say Dragonite.
Okay, so he actually ended up stacking Snorlax. Snorlax,
Okay.
the number 2 overall ranked Pokemon, actually got access to Superpower recently. So, Superpower, but arguably the best moveset in general format in Open Master League is likely going to be Lick Body Slam, which is no longer Legacy. So now you can TM your 100% Snorlaxes or your high IV Snorlaxes and not settle for ones that you had to do from trades or that you may have caught a long time ago that have much poorer IVs. So Snorlax, a really great Pokemon, but most people like as their secondary move Earthquake,
Yeah.
but it will totally depend on the cup. Um,
Yeah,
and
with an open one like this, there's so much spice potential, right? So you could really, shake it up a
and
little.
they're actually allowed to TM in between battles, so
Nice.
they can like specifically tailor their Pokemon. And I think that really benefits a Pokemon like Snorlax that has like 7 charge moves, right? So like for example, instead of like maybe you're afraid that your Snorlax is gonna get locked in with a Togekiss late game and not gonna be able to beat it, or maybe you put Heavy Slam on your Snorlax to be able to deal super effective damage to the fairy types. So I think a really great consideration there. Um, we're gonna have. What do you think, Dutch Goku?
Ooh,
What
I was
would
just looking
what
at what he
would the
picked.
Dutch version of Goku select?
Ooh, I'm gonna say Dragonite.
Okay. So
Maybe
he did
too
select a
early.
dragon. He did select a dragon.
Okay.
He selected Giratina altered form.
Okay, good choice.
So
Something that's fallen down the ranks a little bit, as far as the PV poke ranks go, but it's still an amazing Pokemon.
yeah, it's absolute. It's a moveset is pretty incredible. Um, with it, it's a. Let me just move this here. With ancient power, it allows it early access to get a buff, and then as well deal super effective damage to a Togekiss. So if you switch in too late with Togekiss, then you're gonna be dealt multiple ancient powers, which is gonna be
It's
pretty
gonna hurt.
it's it's a little bit better in Ultra than it is in Masters, but I definitely wouldn't sleep on it. It does a lot of damage. With typically people run Shadow Claw, Dragon Claw, Ancient Power, but you might see people run Dragon Breath if it's advantageous, which does a lot of damage. People might run Shadow Sneak in some situations, probably not because it's not really that great of a moveset, but it certainly has some moveset flexibility and is a really great switch in, arguably a better switch in than Gear to Your Origin because of its diverse moveset.
That
Uh,
Snorlax looking good in between those two Girantinas.
yeah, so Ivy, uh, initials named after his son, selected Dragonite. So what do you think
Nice.
of Dragonite in Masters?
I really like it. Again, shout out to Niantic for giving us Dragon's Breath, Dragon Claw, something that I didn't have until that. And then, of course, having the Community Day move, if you were lucky enough to do that recently or last year. I like it. I guess you're usually just going to have all Dragon moves really on it.
Yeah,
Hurricane, not that good of a move, right?
for sure. Hurricane, not that great a move, but it does give you some options, right? Like you can run. Most people are going to run Dragon Breath just because it's does so much damage paired with Dragon Claw, really spammy, equivalent to like in terms of spamminess to like Water Gun Aqua Tail. 3 energy per turn, 35 energy charge move, and Dragonite with its high attack stat does a lot of damage. And you could have Draco Meteor, you could have Outrage, you could have Hurricane. If you really want to be really spicy and do it for the memes, you could also have Hyper Beam, right? so, but probably Darkest David. I would say this is putting a lot of pressure on Darkest David, but I would argue, based off his performances so far to date, this is a hot take. You can quote me on this. The best Master League player in the world.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, you said
Like
it here,
I
everyone.
said it here, right? But in the draft format, it really depends on what your picks and considerations are. But he's a super tough competitor. They nickname him in the PogoRaids Discord. I'm not sure if he nicknamed himself or he nicknamed other people nicknamed him. They called him Draft King because he's
Oh,
able to go and select the draft. Actually, 3-time winner. Some people would say 2 times depending on what season you count, but 3-time winner of the draft of the Pogo raids, the raid format, draft format. So he's a not to put a lot of pressure on him. Actually, I am putting a lot of pressure on him, but really tough competitor. And what do you think he selected as his pick?
I think he's gonna go Mewtwo with the just so many different charge moves he can select.
Yeah.
Am I 0 for 6 here on my guesses?
He actually selected another dragon type, a very
Oh,
interesting dragon type, Garchomp. I think one of the yeah, I would say in open masters, not that great because it does doesn't have dragon breath, right? Loses Togekiss, right? But
hmm,
has access to mud shot, which generates energy super quickly. Outrage, Earthquake, and it has a actually new move, 40 energy, that has a defense drop, which allows it to bait, which is actually Sand Tomb. Um, so
interesting.
so it makes it for some pretty interesting considerations and picks, right? So you could run Double Ground, Sand Tomb, Earthquake. You could run Outrage, Earthquake. You could run Sand Tomb, Outrage. Like there's a lot of picks considerations and a lot of flexibility. And to be honest, you might even run Dragon Tail, which is not a half bad move depending on who you're going against. So I think a really solid pick. Uh, but in Open Masters, I don't think because it shares the quad ice weakness or the double ice weakness and the fairy weakness, a little
Hmm,
difficult to use, especially since we don't see like a lot of electric used in
true.
open masters. But in the draft format, can be a really dangerous Pokemon.
I feel he almost has to go outrage with the amount of dragons he'll see.
Yeah. So now we're gonna see a double pick. Um, Annie Beret, also someone I showcasted. He demonstrated a super dominating performance as well in his Master League draft. So he's going to be a really tough competitor. Like these are going to be some really good matches. So he selected a double. So it's snake ladder format. So he gets the 6th and 7th or the 8th and 9th pick. So he selected Darkrai and Kyogre.
Ooh,
So
nice.
Darkrai, I'm not sure was available the first time they drafted. So Darkrai, really interesting moveset, has access to Snarl. We know like any Pokemon that gets Snarl, like
Yep.
instantly becomes amazing. Like we saw the dramatic shift in Shiftry, right? In like before, like Shiftry is like kind of a meme Pokemon, but with access to Snarl, it became a lot better. And Darkrai is no exception. Typically, I think people carry, I forget what, Focus Blast, and then either I think it's like Dark Pulse
Yeah, Dark Pulse.
Dark Pulse or Shadow Ball. Um, Ghost and Dark carry the same thing, so probably Dark Pulse and Focus Blast. Focus Blast for those steel types, and then Dark Pulse to do a lot. But does get walled by fairy types, so that's something to consider. But really great pick.
Interesting.
And then what do you think of Kyogre?
Well, I lost to you personally with you using it. I think the addition of Surf is amazing. Just, giving it a charge move that can be used quicker than the other, like longer, Thunder, Blizzard,
Yeah, no,
Hydro Pump.
absolutely, and like now it has a potential bait, which is huge. And
Yeah,
Surf is a pretty good move. I think it's like 40 energy, 70
yeah,
damage. That's a pretty good ratio for a 40 energy move. A lot of times we see like 40-50, we see 40-55, but 40-70
yeah.
on a Pokemon with like amazing stat spread of Kyogre, gonna do a lot of damage. And that waterfall damage does a ton to it as well.
Chunk.
So
It made it
really
more viable. And like you said, just previously, you don't see, there's not a lot of high ranked electric, and like grass isn't really, you don't see it. So,
Yeah,
uh,
like there's the only grass legendary out is Virizion, right? Which would be a late round pick with Leaf Blade, but We saw the double pick, and now we're back at David, Darkest David, and he selected a Pokemon that I think in open meta might be the go to complement to beat down the Togekiss core or
Ooh,
Dialga Lugia core, and I'm talking about Malmetal.
nice.
Malmetal with access to superpower is actually able to be superpower and rock slide is actually able to be Dialga, able to be Togekiss, able to be I'm not sure it's probably able to beat Snorlax, but able to beat a number of different Pokemon with a really flexible moveset. And if you don't want to go superpower, you can go Flash Cannon, you can go Thunderbolt. I don't sure necessarily go Thunderbolt, but if you get paired up with Kyogre, it gives it a lot of flexibility and it
Yeah.
has Thunder Shock, which is going to generate energy super quickly. And then as well, uh, Malmetal scales up really well to the Master League. So I think a really great pick by Darkest David.
I'm just finding out now that it gets superpower. Very impressive.
Yeah, it's certainly something that it in other leagues it's certainly gonna shake up the considerations when we look at steel types.
Right.
And now it's not only Reggie Steel as a steel type that's gonna be able to get some fighting moves and be able to hit back. So I think a really strong pick there.
Master League not looking so limited with all these so many good Pokemon to choose from.
Yeah, so like yeah, there's let's actually go ahead and take a look at I'm gonna switch over here. Well, obviously they flew through the first round, but let's actually go to let's take a look at in Master League to see what hasn't been picked. Or actually, let's show off the format first that they've done. So they have this matrix here. They call it PvP Draft version 2. And this is an example of last season. Let's actually go to Draco Meteor, for example. So these are the picks that they've had through the various rounds, and then here's formalizing, and then here's the they go through basically 3 rounds of battles. I believe I could be wrong, could be 2. No, they go through 3 rounds of battles, and then they accumulate the total score, which is how we ended up seeing some picks in consideration. So if we look through Ivy, who's up next to come pick. He selected Togekiss, Lucario, Kyogre, Alolan Muck, which I think is a pretty interesting pick. I think like early on, this is why the picks are going to be a little bit harder going forward. Is like the first 2 rounds of picks are pretty obvious. You're going to select all the OP dragons. You're going to select Dialga, Dragonite, Garchomp. You're going to select Togekiss, Malmetal. I think Heatran's going to come off the board pretty soon. You're going to select those ones. But as you get further along, looking through the Master League meta, these are Pokemon that you typically don't use in Open Master League. Pokemon that max out at 3,100, 2,700, etc., etc. So like I think looks like the highest ranked Pokemon that hasn't been selected yet is Mewtwo.
Yeah.
Mewtwo, really great pick. Metagross, a good anti-fairy pick, has that Meteor Mash, 50 energy, 100 damage, Bullet Punch, not a bad move, Earthquake, good coverage to take down other steel types. Groudon, a Pokemon that we don't see a lot in Master League because like it only really has nukes and like its typing's only okay. Its typing doesn't really shine that well because we don't see a lot of electric types. But you might see some electric types later on, and it does have access to Mud Shot, which generates energy super quickly. Stab Earthquake, one of the best moves from a PvP perspective, and then has access to Fire Blast and Solar Beam. So has nukes. We actually haven't even seen Lugia picked, which I think Lugia is a very strong pick. The Pokemon with the highest stat product in all of Master League, in all of Pokemon Go, has the highest stat product. It could like literally take a Shadow Ball from an Origin Form Giratina, and like it only does like about half the damage. That's not something that Mewtwo can do. That's something that Mew can do, or pretty much any other Psychic type. So I think there's still a lot of really great picks, and I'm actually surprised Mew hasn't been selected as well. Mew, if you have a lot of TMs, can be super flexible. And we saw in Darkest David, his run, he was able to use Mew as a switch in and be really flexible. So I think that's that's pretty cool. Someone's mentioning Gyarados as a potential pick,
Yeah.
especially with Dragon Breath, has Waterfall because they can TM between moves. It has quite a deep move pool list, which I think is very valuable in this type of format. We see Regirock, Swampert took a little bit of a hit because of that Hydro Cannon nerf, but Swampert can still beat Dialga and actually can beat Dialga straight Earthquake,
That's impressive.
right? So in the one shield, it just double Earthquakes. Doesn't even need to Hydro Cannon bait, which improves its consistency against Dialga. Even though these Dragon Breaths are doing a lot of damage to it, it just generates energy so quickly and able to double Earthquake and either take 2 shields or win the 1 shield matchup. With probably still enough health to get off another Hydro Cannon if something else comes in. So Swampert, one of those Pokemon that its stat product, actually, if you compare its stat product compared to Dialga, you'll see it's 5,002 versus 7,082.
Wow.
That's like pretty. It just tells you how great Mudshot is, how great Hydro Cannon is, and how great Earthquake is. Despite its low attack spread, low its low stat product spread in Master League. So I think pretty cool. So let's go ahead and see what picks they have done so far. So looks like Ivy has selected
Mewtwo.
pretty close.
Wow.
Another one starting with an M.
Okay, we're gonna see the spiciness of the variety of charge moves with Mew, right?
No,
No.
not quite. Metagross.
Oh, Metagross, way off, but a good pick.
A solid pick. I think Metagross, because it has Meteor Bash, can do a lot of damage even when resisted, and a Pokemon that has a really good spread, has interesting typing. Its typing, obviously, Steel typing is going to help it against. Oh no, that's not right.
It's gonna run into a lot of ghosts.
It's going to run into a lot of ghosts. So its Psychic typing doesn't necessarily help it. I don't think Psychic typing is that great in Masters, but so it's going to run into like Giratina's, for example. But the Steel typing is super helpful because you see a lot of Dragon type moves. And its Earthquake coverage allows it to perform quite well against other Steel Pokemon. So we have Dutch Goku coming up, and he selected the second non-pseudo legendary and the first starter. And we're talking about the best starter in all of Masters, and the one we just talked about, which is Swampert.
Okay.
Really strong pick there. What do you think of Swampert paired up with Giratina Altered?
I think a lot of charge moves are gonna come out quickly.
Yeah.
And I think it's a solid first 2 picks to start off a team for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely would recommend probably Dutch Goku pick up like a nuke, like a Pokemon that can nuke later on, because Swampert and Giratina Alter definitely going to be able to take some shield, so and do a lot of chip damage. So we have Yowzer coming up next, and he selects one of my favorite Pokemon in Masters, and the one with the highest stat product spread, the super tanky Pokemon, and has pretty good moves for Masters, which is Lugia. Lugia,
nice.
with typically people carry Dragon Tail, but you can also carry Extrasensory. Again, Psychic not that helpful in open meta, but it might be helpful given like certain Pokemon. It allows you to farm down fighting type Pokemon better. But that Dragon Tail gives you some flexibility depending on what you're going up against. Obviously, you don't want to do Dragon Tail against Fairy type Pokemon. They're going to double resist, so Extra Sensory is going to be super helpful there. And typically, people carry Sky Attack Hydro Pump, but you might see in some of these matches that are going to come up in future dates, people run Future Sight as a consideration. But just because it's so bulky, it's able to really absorb shields. And Yowza going for a really bulky Pokemon, pairing up Snorlax and in Lugia, pretty interesting. What's the one type that Snorlax fears? Fighting types. And what's the one Pokemon or one of the Pokemon that fighting types fear the most, Lugia. So I think that's already thinking about like pretty good chemistry between his picks.
Good balance. Very
Uh,
exciting. I almost want to see them battle now. I know they need like more Pokemon to complete their teams, but this is exciting as far as what the potential battles could be.
Yep. So VLFPH looks like I'm not sure if he's. He's gonna select the tradition. So in his we asked him to do like a little profile, and his fun fact is that he always selects Tyranitar. Tyranitar,
Okay.
like one of those Pokemon that virtually like not one of the Pokemon that I would say, but besides Machamp maybe that a lot of people have maxed out. Why?
Oh,
Because
for
it's
sure.
been so helpful in raids, and in PvP has really great movesets. Has Bite, which is like I would say Bite Tyranitar was like day one meta of Master League. Just because
Yeah.
like it does so much damage and it's like a half turn move. It just does so much like you're so shocked by it. And as well, a lot of psychic types are like in day one Master League meta. But it also has access to SmackDown, which actually has the same damage per turn as Bite. They're both stab, and as well allows you to get to Crunch, Stone Edge, Fire Blast maybe. If you're really spicy, go with Return. No, I don't. I don't recommend. If I see a SmackDown Return, that's an auto win. That's
I
an
have
auto
one
win.
of those. Well, I was gonna ask. So I know we can TM in between rounds, but you
They
obviously
can't team in between battles. They do
in,
they do 3 matches, so the
right
win, losses, and draws are all counted. But you can't TM between matches. But
or right. Okay.
so let me just set this up here. But I think Tyranitar, a Pokemon that sometimes people are afraid to use because that double weakness to fighting. But in a draft type format, can be really great. And you feel so vulnerable if you don't have a Chuck to Tyranitar and you just have like psychic Pokemon in the back just because you see those bites just chunking away. Oh,
So do you feel it's a lock to just use Bite and not Smackdown, or do
no,
you
no,
think
no.
there's a debate
I think
between?
it totally depends on what you're going up against. So actually,
Right.
let me actually show this. Um, it's actually a pretty interesting battle. So if we go to Master League, Tyranitar versus Togekiss. Obviously, this is one particular matchup, um, but it's actually like a lot closer than you think because of the Smackdowns. And actually, in the one shield, it actually ends up winning because it's able to get to the charge move faster than Togekiss because of that Smackdown generates energy faster than about a third faster than Charm, and then makes it like pretty close in the. It does result in Togekiss actually shielding. So you do draw a shield uh, in order for Togekiss to actually win. So if Togekiss doesn't shield, this crunch would actually KO it. So pretty, I think that's pretty interesting when you compare that particular matchup. That's obviously against one Flying Charm type Pokemon, but Tyranitar we think really squishy because of all the Great League matchups we did. But man, look at Tyranitar's stat spread, 6,971. That's almost the same as Dialga, actually way higher than Togekiss. So like Tyranitar, we think of like this super vulnerable monster in just glass cannon in Great League. But man, when you go up to Masters, it can be an absolute
Has a
monster.
lot of great matchups.
It does have a lot of weaknesses as being pointed out, but it can definitely be used in the right situation. So, all right, we're gonna see who's next. B Topher. Gonna select the first fighting Pokemon. So, what do you think the best fighter is?
Oh,
Kind of
I
debatable.
want to say Machamp, and but you got Heracross that moved up as well. But I'm gonna say Machamp.
Yeah, Machamp still gets. I think Machamp arguably took the spot because it got access. Now Cross Shop is no longer legacy, right?
Yes.
Cross Shop. You think about this: 5 counters to get to a Cross Shop gonna do a lot of damage. It also has access to Rock Slide, which is gonna be able to deal super effective damage to Togekiss, able to do neutral damage to Giratinas. But there's a lot of fighters in consideration now. I would say before all these changes to movesets that we saw in December, I would say like Lucario and Machamp. Machamp arguably being the better one. Were the runaway winners, but now you have Heracross with a little bit more defensive stat spread than Machamp, and then as well you have Hariyama as well with more HP, I believe, but lower defense. That has access to close combat, heavy slam, a lot of really great moves. So I think Machamp
Superpower now.
and superpower. So like fighting type Pokemon, really big shake up in Masters. But I think Machamp, reliable pick, right? You can always trust. And everyone, a lot of people have maxed out Machamps, so I think it's a relatable pick and able to do a lot of damage to Dialga, to Tyranitar, to Snorlax, to Melmetal, to a lot of different Pokemon. So that cross chop is super spammy. So
Kind of like a body slam for fighting damage. Maybe
yeah,
not as much, but close.
yeah, no, absolutely. In Machamp, like decent attack stat.
Hmm.
So we're gonna see the double pick from our first drafter in Osa. It's gonna select Mewtwo and
Nice.
Groudon. What do you think of those
Okay.
picks?
I was waiting for Mewtwo to come off the board. A little frail, but you've got so much variety for charge moves. And then Groudon, still surprised it's ranked so high because like I thought it almost needs like a surf move like Kyogre, right? Where you have all these nukes, but no like quicker to get to charge moves. So it'll be interesting to see how he uses it. I
Yeah,
think I like it overall for his team. His team's kind of balanced, right?
yeah. Let me take a look here. Mewtwo gonna be able to help deal with as well. Like Mewtwo has a lot of movesets, right? So
Side
like
strike hits so hard.
Psy Strike, 45 energy, 90 damage. That's
Boom.
insane. You're talking about on okay. Before I put in, so like let's say Tyranitar. Tyranitar, pretty attack weighted Pokemon, right? 248, almost 249 compared to 210. That's like absolutely insane. Like it's kind of glassy. It's like the
Yeah.
same level of glassiness as like Swampert in Masters, but its attack stat is very high. And with Psy Strike, 5 Psycho Cuts to get to a Psy Strike, it's pretty deadly,
That's
right?
huge.
And then as well, you have access to Ice Beam if you wanted to protect Dialga from ground types. You have access to Focus Blast if you want to protect
Mm-hmm.
against go against other steel types.
Granitar, yeah.
Tyranitar. You also have access to Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, like a number of different moves. You might even go Shadow Ball, for example. You can't go Shadow Ball Side Strike, but even like Shadow Ball Psychic, pretty good. Shadow Ball, a number of different
Yeah.
moves, gonna get a little bit of coverage. Especially Shadow Ball, you end up in you're not gonna win the matchup against the Giratinas, but you're gonna be able to do a lot of damage to it. So I think Mewtwo a really strong pick. But a pick that you definitely have to have a lot of TMs for to be able to utilize effectively.
I was just gonna ask that. I know it might be like too much information for your enemies and your opponents that you're battling, but I wonder what the charge TM count is pre-tournament.
I think
And like,
I think for the most part they definitely know uh, each other's playstyle. So
okay,
they know the ones that are gonna raid a lot, right? The ones that are gonna go out that are more that have like a little less resources. But I think when I look at Mewtwo paired with Dialga, I think it's like one of the best
yeah, I
picks
like it.
to pair up. So I think that's a really strong pick. I think that's really good. Groudon, um, could be pretty interesting. I guess helps protect Mewtwo against other steel types. Um, and it's still spammy with that mud shot damage. It's going to be able to do a lot of damage with the nukes. And we're going to circle back to B Topher, and he selects Raikou, the first
Ooh,
electric Pokemon.
one of
Um,
my favorites. It's not ranked the highest, but with Wild Charge hits so hard, and then having the Shadow Ball against all the different ghosts that are in this meta, it
Absolutely,
definitely has some punch.
I think Shadow Ball was an amazing addition to Raikou.
Yes.
Um, and definitely helped it move up in the rank. And Raikou, Probably the tankiest electric type, at least for now,
Okay.
and probably the one with the best stat spread. We know that Electivire has a slightly higher attack stat and also has access to Wild Charge, but maybe not the same
Not the
bulk,
same. Yeah.
right? Be able to take a hit. Um, so I think a really nice pick. That Shadow Ball, pretty good, right? Because we see
Yep.
a lot of psychics. Um, in Metagross, Lugia, Mewtwo already selected, Wild Charge, and then as well we see a lot of ghosts so far. So basically able to hit like a third of the picks so far with super effective damage.
I instantly double moved my Raikou as soon as Shadow Ball became
I
available. I
love
thought it
it. I
was
love
such a
it.
great
I
addition.
think it's a fantastic pick in consideration. So let's dive into some of the fun facts about these competitors. I have a whole list of notes here. So I asked them what their playstyle is, their favorite Pokemon. Maybe I'll give us some insights on what they're going to pick in the later rounds, which is going to be a little bit more difficult to do. I asked them for some random facts, and then Valor Ash, who's going to help me with the Great League draft, asked them where they're from. So we're going to start with Darkest David because he's the first one to submit to us. His playstyle is he's a raider slash grinder, has a very impressive stats. Um, people were trash talking me, saying that he actually has a better legendary composition than I do. I think debatable, but he certainly has a really good one. His favorite Pokemon are Jolteon and Zapdos, so he definitely likes really spammy Pokemon. His fun fact: he says I have an above average spice tolerance for a Caucasian.
I saw that. That made me laugh.
So, I'm not sure I'm allowed to say that, but
You are. You are. What? White people are known for not being able to handle spice, but some of us like a little spice in our life.
yeah. And Darkest David, he actually went to Singapore, I think over the summer, and did a lot of raids there. But definitely, when it comes to like the raid challenges world, he's definitely one of the most technical players. We have Yowza, who submitted next. Pokemon is his actually first Pokemon game. Like, what do you think of that? Does that give you an advantage?
Oh, it
Not
definitely does not
advantage.
give you an advantage. You have to learn your typings. As someone who wasn't that deep into the Pokemon games previously, there's like a lot of things to learn, but it's just so fun and just shows you how good this game is.
Yep, and he's from the Northeast U.S. He thinks draft part of the game is more fun than actual battling. Ooh,
I read
so
that. I like that.
so I think that's pretty cool. We have Dutch Goku. Um, I'm assuming he's a Dragon Ball fan,
Yeah, it must be.
right? Or it means something else, right? And I'm assuming he's Dutch, right? His playstyle is he's a raider slash Master League PvP battler, and I think we're gonna see a lot of that in Go Battle League. Like a lot of people that are gonna do really well in Master League are gonna be the ones that
Yeah.
do a lot of raids, right? Because they have all these great legendary Pokemon, have all this rare candy to TM
Yep.
and TMs from stuff. So I think it's pretty cool. His favorite Pokemon are going to be Farfetch and Ditto.
Oh, those are interesting picks for
It's
someone who
too,
likes
it's too,
Master League.
yeah, it's too bad that you couldn't have Ditto. Man, imagine.
Well, you can't you?
No,
I
you,
mean, I don't think you'd want.
you can't run Ditto.
Can't?
You can't run Ditto
Okay.
in PvP.
Oh, fun fact. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
fun fact.
I don't think you'd want to anyway, but
Yeah, the stamina stats so low. But if you could think
okay.
of like another glass cannon type Pokemon that has low HP, then it might be pretty interesting. Very eager to have this great format of PvP battles becoming more popular. So actually, one of the coordinators for the PogoRaids PvP draft, and he's from the Netherlands. And we have a VLFPH. He's a defending champion. Ooh, right. Also from the Netherlands. 500 gold gems.
That's a lot.
All on bike. He had like a
Oh,
little
all on
like
bike.
he has like a little bike emoticon. So I'm not sure he's like riding the person that's riding the bike, or he's actually riding the bike. One of the
That's
two.
very impressive.
Like,
As
it'd
you
be-
being a huge grinder, right? You know
Yeah.
how much effort it takes, but to be on foot or bike or to do that, that's
It's
like
very
extra
impressive.
prop.
And,
Yeah, very.
And he always drafts Tyranitar. That's his fun fact. We have Annie Beret. He classifies himself as a casual player. Favorite Pokemon is Shiny Metagross. Did he select Metagross?
Nice.
Oh man, he got a Metagross picked from him. That's okay.
That's
Uh,
sick. Yeah, one of my
he
favorite shinies as well.
he hates the winter. Okay, who doesn't? Maybe some people
Yeah.
do. He's also from the Netherlands, right? You know what? I'm guessing they're all in the same house right now, just like
They're- like that
drafting.
fantasy football type of thing that you
Yeah,
see on
exactly,
TV. They've got
exactly,
these draft charts and
exactly. Fun fact: he lives 3 streets away from Dutch Goku, and sometimes Dutch Goku comes over for a beer.
a brew.
So it's pretty cool. Osa, um, grinding is his play style. His favorite Pokemon is Zapdos. Loves competition. He thinks that PvP drafts are better than Silph Cups. Definitely,
Interesting.
I think definitely a consideration there. He's from Morocco, Casablanca. Right, pretty cool. He's also participating in the Great League Championship draft later on today.
Nice.
And
I think
then
it's important. I know you said that. Sorry to cut you off, but we're going to see that in the future. We're going to see some Sylph players prefer the Sylph leagues, and then of course some people who prefer Masters and Ultra. And I think that's okay. You're going to have some differences, and it's important to just kind of invite each other to enjoy both and just kind of enjoy PvP overall.
no, absolutely. B. Tolfer, he's a lucky Dex chaser.
Nice.
Semi-casual for other things. His favorite Pokemon is Shiny Charizard. Fun fact: he spent the Lego camps in previous summer as a camp counselor, building some Pokemon out of Lego bricks.
Okay.
Right?
If he's on Twitter, it'd be cool to see some pictures of those.
Ooh, yeah. I'm sure he can say in chat. And he's from Virginia, USA.
Nice.
Ivy plays playstyle depends on time, grinding mostly. Favorite Pokemon are Lucario, Vaporeon, Machamp, Rayquaza. His IGN are his son's initials, not Pogo related, and he's from the great state of Maryland.
Nice.
So
Not surprising that a lot of these Master League players are enjoy grinding.
yeah, no, absolutely, you kind of really have to. So
I wonder
uh,
how stressed some of the Great League and Sylph battlers are just thinking about Master League and
yeah,
how expensive
I
it's going to
think
be.
they're
'Cause
definitely pretty stressed out right now. So we're gonna see VLFPH select Heatran. Heatran. How do you say
okay.
it? How do you say it?
So
Heatran.
I'm not the be all end all, but I've been saying Heatran, but I don't.
I like
We only had
Heatran. I like
best and
Heatran.
west.
He'd probably say he'd probably just correct us.
Yeah, of course he would. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Just
Whatever,
always.
however you pronounce it. I guess phonetically,
Mhm.
Heatran makes sense.
I was surprised. I know that again. We don't have to hold the PV poke ranking so like it's not the be all end all, but I think it fell a little bit, which I thought getting flamethrower a new move. I almost thought it would be
Yeah, but
higher
the
up
thing the
or
thing is it's weak to fighting,
right,
and fighting Pokemon got better. Kyogre got Surf, right?
right.
It's more.
And
I think it definitely got better, but maybe other things around it got better.
okay, that makes
And
sense.
movesets have been updated. But I think
Right.
it's arguably the best fairy counter.
Okay.
Fun fact about Heatran. Unless Gen 8 proved me wrong, okay, excluding Gen 8, because I don't know all the typings over Gen 8,
Right.
the only Fire Steel type Pokemon,
Oh, okay.
right? So I think the only, or one of the only Pokemon that double resist Fairy. So it has
I
like
wouldn't have guessed that
immune
first third
level.
pick.
So really great. Um, has typically people carry Fire Spin because other movesets Bug Bite, which could be helpful as well. Fire Spin, now Flamethrower and Iron Head, but you can also have Stone Edge. You could also have Fire Blast. I don't know, Fire Blast is a terrible move, but I guess for the memes. And then I think that's all its movesets. So Flamethrower definitely made it better because it's cheaper than Fire Blast.
Right.
But I think a pretty strong pick. So Yowza selected the second fighting Pokemon, one that's really high ranked, Heracross.
Interesting. Which it was a surprise to me to see at 25, but obviously with some of the changes to close combat, I guess.
Yeah, and it's actually let me pull it up here. It's spread is actually, let's see here,
I'd be
Heracross.
so worried if again I haven't used one in Master
So
League,
it
right? I
has
don't
a
have one
has a,
max.
has the same attack stat as Machamp, but has slightly has higher defense for lower stamina. So his overall stat product is actually
Hmm.
higher than Machamp. Still like pretty low, right? Because like these fighting Pokemon are still glassy, but arguably a little bit tankier than Machamp.
Interesting.
So
And they're like side by side on the rankings here for PV Poke too,
yeah,
Heracross and
yeah,
Machamp.
no, absolutely. But I think a really good pick. Man, close combat can do a lot. Has Mega Horn, has Earthquake as well. So it has a lot of really great moves to utilize. So I think that's pretty good.
All
Um,
of the hype around the Reggies too. When are we going to see a Reggie come off the board?
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Okay, so Dutch Goku actually selected another fighter, and the
Hariyama? No. Who?
Lucario.
Okay,
All right,
nice.
so Lucario, uh, very interesting fighting type Pokemon. It loses to other fighters because of its steel typing,
Right.
but its steel typing is also really helpful because it takes neutral damage from Psychic, takes neutral damage from Fairy. Is very glassy though. Has Shadow Ball, um,
Yeah,
and boosted up Shadow Ball can do a lot of damage to any Ghost or Psychic type Pokemon. And
absolutely.
it has close combat now. Um, and yeah, anyways, has a pretty wide move pool, but took a decent hit when compared to all these other fighters coming up. But I think a really strong draft type pick. And do you think like the fact that a lot of fighters, the first fighter came off the board like 6 picks ago, and now we see like two more come through.
Oh, good point.
Do you think they're like all rushing towards trying to take the fighters before they're all gone?
I do believe that now that you said it, I wasn't thinking about that, but that's a good point because there are only so many to choose from, and Lucario just being one of the lower ranks overall for the Master League.
Yeah. What do you think is
That's a very
left
good
is
point.
as a? Let me actually take a look.
Well, we got Hariyama, and I don't know after that, right? I think going down the board, you may just have something like something that might have a fighting charge move, but not be a
So,
fighter. Like,
ooh, okay. So I'm not sure you knew this. You can actually search fighting, the typing, like similar
yeah,
to you can, and then anyways, it shows you here. So you have Heracross, Machamp. Some legendaries haven't come off the board yet. That are fighting legendaries.
oh,
Virizion and Cobalion. Or
interesting.
Yeah, Cobalion. And you have Terrakion as well. Like they Verzion, I think it's a pretty interesting pick. A lot of people are sleeping on it, saying because his fast moves are terrible, which they are. But quick attack is okay. It's like wing attack, but no stab
Yeah,
on it, and no chance for ever being super effective. And being resisted by steel and rock is not that great in Masters, but you'll see it's able to take down Darkrai. It's able to take down Snorlax, Malmetal. It's actually take down Kyogre,
wow,
Tyranitar. A lot of picks. It does have to worry
interesting.
about the typical flying. It is double weak to flying. It has to worry about the Charmers. It's not going to do any damage, especially with the typical moveset of Leaf Blade and close combat. But you might carry Stone Edge depending on what you're going against. Um, does lose to the Ghost types, but I think a pretty interesting pick. Not going to do any fast move fighting damage, but good close combat. It's not that. I think it's like close combat's 45, right? So I think like seven quick attacks to get to a close combat, or you could potentially bait with a leaf blade. So
Looks
which
like
is
two of the more underwhelming legendaries might have some actual play in Master League.
yeah. I don't Metal Claw is a pretty bad move, but
Yeah,
and I think Cobalion is a steel fighting type Pokemon. So they're gonna take neutral to flying, but again, you're gonna see it beat a lot of the same thing. Oh, actually able to beat Togekiss,
ooh,
right? Especially that Metal Claw damage is gonna deal super effective damage. And you have close combat as well, Stone Edge, Iron Head. So we definitely see those as two potential fighters. I don't think personally, I don't think there's like necessarily a rush to take fighting type Pokemon, just because like a lot of the steel types are also going to be weak to ground. Um, I guess there's not that many good ground type Pokemon either, like
No, and the
Garchomp,
two they're off the board,
Mamoswine,
right?
Mamoswine.
Ooh.
But typically you don't carry ground moves, but you can with Bulldoze. But Bulldoze sucks. Uh, you have Rhyperior that also has superpower, has a lot of movesets as well,
Oh,
right?
it got
Has
superpower.
Surf.
Oh,
Excadrill got a buff with Mud Slap. So I think there's like, some pretty decent ground type Pokemon. So there's a number of different ways to protect your Pokemon from steel types. You can also go fire, depending on what kind of steel types that you might encounter. Not that I think there's a lot of great fighting fire type Pokemon. Moltres could be good, but it's kind of glassy. Typhlosion might come as a late pick. Blaziken as a late pick. So there's options. I don't think there's a huge rush to take fighters, but if you do need to secure one to protect your type Pokemon that it's really weak to steel, then I think definitely a consideration. Let's go ahead and see what they've selected next. Okay, you're right. We see fighting type Pokemon come off the board. We see Hariyama being selected
interesting.
by Ivy. So let me go ahead and put Hariyama. I love that fighting type Pokemon. Got a huge buff. I would love to see another fast move besides counter be at least somewhat decent for fighters.
That's
But
true.
like the close combat upgrade is a good alternative too. You're gonna the Darkest David selecting a very interesting pick here. Most of the dragons have come off their board. At least some dragons with Dragon Breath, but there's one Pokemon that has
Hydrogen. No?
no Hydreigon. That would have been pretty good, but he actually selected Gyarados.
Okay. Thank you, Niantic, for giving us Dragon's Breath.
Yeah.
And I guess Twister's okay, but Dragon's Breath specifically is what was needed.
And
for sure.
pretty interesting. It has Outrage, which is going to do a lot of damage. Has Hydro Pump. You could run Waterfall. Like there's a number of different moves that it can run depending on how you want to tackle it. So I think that's a very strong pick. His team, I guess like its flying typing helps it with against fighters, especially since we saw 3 fighters picked before it.
Yeah.
So we definitely saw a lot of fighters come off the board. So now we're going to see Annie Beret come with the double pick and selecting a fighter as well. Terrakion
Oh, wow.
and Gardevoir, picking a Charmer. Does a Charmer... I guess a Charmer helps him fend off fighters now that he has Darkrai. And Terrakion weak to fighting as well, so I think Gardevoir is a nice complement to his team. So let's go ahead and put that up. Terrakion. What you want to talk
I
about?
did
Terrakion?
not see that coming. So many weaknesses, right? I did not see that coming at all.
A ton of weaknesses.
Um,
And you know
of course
what?
you've got
I
that.
actually didn't think it would be selected, so I actually didn't even download the image. So I have to download the image separately. But I think it's a sleeper pick for sure. So I gotta.
Definitely. I'm sure he pre-thought that. Maybe. I don't know. It seems like SmackDown
It's-
is a given for
I
the
guess
quick move.
yeah, SmackDown.
And then you've got Close Combat and Rock Slide. I don't know if you'll go with Earthquake. Obviously a decent option, but so yeah, did not see that coming. Key matchups against Dragonite, Tyranitar, Gyarados, Raikou.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. SmackDown does a lot of damage, right? I
Yep.
think a lot of people sleep on these swords of a legendary, but I think they're
Well, especially if you get, we've all seen it in Great League with the Razor Leafers or the Charmers, right? You get your opponent locked in and you've got a Smackdown or a Charmer, and it's just like, you're able to really farm down your opponent. So very interesting teams as you see them kind of form here. We're like halfway done the draft. You see
so.
still no Reggies off the board and still no Mews.
Ooh,
But to your point,
yeah,
you almost
Mew has been selected by the
Okay.
person that probably has the most TMs in this draft. And you know what? I'm actually totally shocked. No one selected Mew as a counter pick.
I think it could come down to IVs as well. Maybe you get what
He has
you get.
he has a
with
pretty
your
IV,
Mew.
he has a pretty bad IV one, but
Really?
I think Darkest David has shown how dangerous he is with Mew. That if I was the other competitors, I would have just picked it. In
Oh,
fact,
start to take it
I
away
would
from your
I
opponent.
would have colluded with the other 6 competitors and be like, we gotta deny Darkest David with Mew. I said
Yeah.
I said in my last video because he swept he pretty much swept through, I think he swept both rounds that I showcasted, like won all best of 3 series, and he had Mew as a safe switch, and I said you cannot let Darkest David select Mew. He has way
Well,
too many
apparently they're
TMs.
not listening. They
Guys gotta
did
watch
not
the
listen.
like they gotta no one, why is no one listening? But he's like literally got, I've never seen so many ancient power buffs ever, like. And
Oh,
the
really?
thing these buffs, the buffs, like, attack buffs really don't matter, like that's why, like, or defense buffs, that's why I'm not so, like, hyped up about Sand Tomb on Garchomp for actual the defense debuff. I'm more hyped from shield baiting, just because Mudshot doesn't do that much damage. Oh yeah, great. You're gonna, instead of doing 2 damage, you're gonna do 3 damage. But Shadow
Right.
Claw is a legit move, right? If you get the 2-stage debuff with the ancient power, it like does a crazy amount. So, and I'm really shocked that it wasn't it wasn't.
All the way to the fourth round too. A lot of
Oh, why didn't no
opponents had.
one? Someone, they should have colluded. Someone bit the bullet. So, and actually, they're putting like the fast and charge TM emoticons in response to his picks. So, I think.
Maybe his opponents believe in their team so much they're not even
Oh
worried about
man,
stealing you and just building their team the way they want it. We'll
yeah,
see how that
I
plays
think
out.
it has so many moves. Plus, overheat got a buff, right? And it has access to overheat. So, I think a pretty dangerous. Let's see, sorry.
Yeah, I was shocked because it's overheat is definitely one of its most recommended moves.
Yeah, it has Psyshock, Ancient Power, like a number of different ones here. Just downloading an image here.
I wonder what the next pick from IV will be.
What do you like? What do you think his team is picked here? We can
He's already got a dragon. What are we looking at here? Maybe one of the Reggies or.
Okay, so his team is weak to let me see what it is. It's like Lugia. Lugia is not bad against his team. Obviously, Lugia will get beat by Metagross, but Lugia does pretty well against Dragonite and obviously Hariyama. He actually ended up selecting an electric type.
Oh.
And that's going to be Electivire.
Okay. I wonder if someone eventually will take Magnezone off the board, right, to get their own electric.
Ooh, so you're predicting an electric.
Not necessarily next, but I feel like someone's got to take another potentially electric.
Oh, well,
I'm a big Team Mystic representative, so I'd like to see Articuno go. I don't think I saw anyone take that in the previous draft, but I'd like to see a little
Icy
Articuno
Wind.
select.
Icy Wind
Yeah.
got a buff, right? It's a
Right.
legit pick. I think Magnezone's good electric type. Zapdos has a lot of moves as well.
Yep.
Also has ancient power too, right? So I think.
Yeah, Zapdos with Ancient Power is nice to have. I just really, we tell Niantic when they're doing things wrong and we want the charge TMs fixed, but they've definitely been doing a lot right with these moves that they've been editing and adding into the game. So big shout out to them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So Dutch Goku, selecting arguably the hardest dragon name to say. High Dragon.
I said it wrong already.
I have
right?
no idea. I'm sure there's some German way of saying it. So he actually selected High Dragon or High Dragon or however you want to say it. But pretty interesting Pokemon. Like, what do you want to tell me about its moves?
I still don't have one, but its moves are interesting, right? It's going to charge up its charge moves very quickly with Dragon's Breath, and then Dark Pulse is going to hit a lot of its enemies very hard.
Yeah.
And then you've got Dragon Pulse or Flash Cannon. I'm going to guess he's going Dragon Pulse, Dark Pulse.
Yeah, absolutely. So it gives it some like pretty interesting coverage, right? So gonna be able to wall a lot of psychic types and wall a lot of the Guillotine Ultra might be a little more difficult. It's probably still beats it. But I think a pretty interesting pick, and a tankier dark type than Tyranitar, I believe. You can double check
Okay.
that later afterwards.
And anything that gives a Giratina a go or potentially wins a matchup is going to be good on your Master League team.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing a dragon runoff right now. The next
Okay.
one, Palkia.
Nice.
Palkia, like, Palkia is amazing in raids because its
Yep.
typing is pretty good, but like definitely is a huge step behind its brother in Dialga because it doesn't have access to Dragon Breath, but it has access to Dragon Tail, but only
It
has.
has Dragon's Breath. It says it does.
Oh, well, it does have Dragon Breath. Sorry. It only has nukes. It doesn't have any.
Right.
Yeah. Sorry. I was mistaken. I'm
No,
thinking
you're
something
good.
else. What am I thinking?
Which helps it,
Salamence?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely-
Salamence does not.
Yeah, so actually does have access to Dragon Breath. You're right. Sorry for the mistake there.
you're
But it
good.
only has what does it have? Draco Meteor.
Hydro Pump, Fire Blast. So like you said, all nukes, Draco Meteor being a little better now after the update, but I feel like it almost suffers from what Groudon suffers from or what Kyogre did, right? It needs some sort of maybe I almost said Outrage, but with Draco Meteor, I don't think you really need Outrage. Maybe just needs something else. Maybe
Yeah.
a Surf? Do you think
You need
giving it Surf?
Surf would be excellent on Palkia. I think with Surf it would move up tremendously.
Sure.
It
It wouldn't make it too overpowered. It will just kind of give it a nice balance.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Ooh,
think
Dragon's Breath would charge those Surfs up so fast. Too.
Yeah. Or I'm not sure it gets access to Dragon Claw, but that would be a pretty cool pick. So VL FPH gonna select Virizion.
Ooh, okay. So he's early on has already spent the dust and the rare candies, and just the way you described it, sold me on it. Right, having those leaf blades where there's not a lot of grass damage in this meta so far. Is this the first Pokemon that has some grass damage other than Mew's craziness?
Yeah, Mew with Grass Knot. Let's see. I think so.
And then with the big close combat hit, like you said, the quick moves
Oh,
aren't the
technically
greatest.
Solar Beam on Groudon.
Oh, right. Yeah,
But
good call.
That's pretty much it. Like, if you let it unshield the Solar Beam, that's
But
pretty
yeah,
awesome.
very interesting. Again, one of the legendaries that I kind of said meh and wrote off, but has some play. Being ranked 29th overall on PvPoke gives it some credibility, and is now on VL's team.
Yeah, I actually got a 96 yesterday.
Nice.
During my raid run, so.
I think that's the dilemma, though. It's like you do so many legendary raids, and then you're like, 96. Is that good enough? Are you actually going to power it up and buy the extra move, or?
Oh yeah, I mean? I've only caught 3 Virizions, so I feel pretty fortunate for it. But I would if I ever do like a draft type format, I think I definitely would be one of my late round picks. So I think it's a pretty strong pick. Close combat, even before close combat, there was definitely a lot of considerations for it, just because it had Leaf Blade bait, and it only got better with the close combat buff.
Okay, and just to add to that, Forge in the chat did say Palkia does learn Dragon Claw in the main series, so Niantic can maybe get on that and hook it up with Dragon Claw, maybe.
That would be pretty deadly. Oh man, okay. Let's actually. I'm always a sucker for Sims, so let's.
We like that you do all those Sims as well, right? Because then it just kind of gets the wheels turning for us.
Palkia has a really great so has 6,800, slightly lower than Dialga. So in Masters, in the one shield right now, with its current moveset, picks up probably still a decent amount, 179. But instead of Draco Meteor, if it had Dragon Claw, so 179, it would go to 211. 16 losses, like as a comparison.
Interesting. And what a great feature on PvPoke, right? To be able to just say or see what if, right? And just kind of give a Pokemon
Actually picks up more wins than Dialga in the one shield. That would be pretty awesome. Ooh.
More wins than Dialga in the one shield?
That's awesome.
Maybe there's a reason they didn't give it Dragon Claw.
Let's see with Surf.
Wow.
Let's say Surf and Draco Meteor.
Okay, yeah, good call.
Oh, actually picks up even more wins.
Wow.
214. Only
With
14
Surf?
loss with Surf. Surf Draco Meteor.
Oh, I would have guessed that Dragon Claw would have put it over the.
It's probably because of the if I go Dragon Claw, Draco Meteor, make it very one-dimensional.
Oh, I see.
It actually picks up even more wins. Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw, Draco Meteor. Like, basically, this is kind of ridiculous, but it's basically like a beefed up Dragonite. Higher
Yeah.
attack stat, slightly lower defense, but higher. It's basically a Dragonite on steroids.
Yeah, I guess so. Dang. Bring it back, shiny. Give it a new
Ooh.
move, Niantic, and watch that
Ooh.
1.4 billion turn into 1.6.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be pretty awesome. Oh man, that would be pretty amazing. So, and it's pretty. That would be pretty cool. So,
It's a nice. Go ahead.
oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's nice to look into the future, see the what ifs, right, with these moves.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna see B Topher select one Pokemon that I was super hyped about when it came out because it had a lot of raid considerations, but also a lot of PvP considerations. It's a little glassy, which is gonna be Mamoswine.
Ooh, nice.
So,
Something that I have tried in the Master League. You know, you've battled Charles before, and he wants to go unique
yeah,
Pokemon, so you really have to go through some of your, maxed out Mons, and it does have some wins.
and Avalanche is a great move. Powder Snell is gonna
Yep.
generate energy really quickly. Could have Ancient Power for that buff if you kept the Community Day move. You can also have Bulldoze as well if you want coverage against Steel types. So it definitely gives you some consideration. Now we see a double pick. We're gonna see Latios and Suicune. So what do you think of Latios?
Ooh, I like it. Actually, was one of the first default Pokemon that I would try in Master League because of the Dragon Breath, Dragon Claw. Of course, Psychic has changed a little bit, and then you have that Solar Beam Nuke.
Yeah.
So very, very interesting.
Yeah, I think a really really great Pokemon. And Suicune, pretty. So tell me, obviously Suicune got that Bubble Beam and Snarl buff. What do you think of Suicune?
Something that I thought I'd never see in Master League. A Pokemon that we all kind of laughed at, and like you said, has a lot of bulk. Very surprised by the pick. I did see it in the previous drafts in the later rounds from some of these competitors. So, very interesting. Like you said, anything with Snarl now has a chance. But
let's actually take a look at. So they're getting on to like their second last and last pick. So B Topher, like what do you see on the team that you think might be missing?
B Topher is missing. He doesn't have really any dragon damage, does he? Or ghost damage.
Yeah, you're not like ghost damage in this cup is like, I guess somewhat important, but I'm trying to think of. Okay, here we can actually use.
Or where's his dark damage too? The dark ghost dragon.
Let's do this. So we can actually go to the team builder.
Okay.
Master League and put in some.
What a great new feature!
Oh, amazing feature. Obviously, this is going to be moveset considered, right? And let's see what he's weak to.
Yeah, it's a great idea, actually. But yeah, even like Rhyperior at first is a Pokemon that I would think and I'm not saying this for his team specifically, but it's something that I would at first cringe on, and it does have a lot of play. I'll be interested to see if someone picks it up in the last round.
Let's
the
see
Smackdown
here.
and Super Power.
Let's see what he's. So we can go down here to see the potential threats. Metagross, I thought was a pretty big threat, but I thought Raikou could take it out. I thought some of these things are kind of weird for the Master League one.
Right.
But it looks like it actually does beat Raikou in the one shield. So something to take out steel types. Like a fire type or a ground type. Not there's a ton left, but
I was just gonna say, yeah, we're really coming down to the.
You could go Typhlosion, for example.
Yeah.
If you as a late pick. Obviously, some of these picks have already been taken. All these alternatives have been taken, but pretty weak to. Looks like has pretty big weakness to Mew across the board.
Right.
Typhlosion with Shadow Claw going to be able to deal super effective damage to the psychic types, and as well Blast Burn gonna be able to nuke, but it's so glassy. It's like hard to pick. Um,
Alolan Muck. I know that's not the fire
oh
damage,
oh
might
oh
give him some
oh
dark damage.
yeah. Though it's still weak to Jirachi, which only one Pokemon, but does probably does beat Metagross. So Alolan Muck, pretty decent pick. Um,
Yeah, I'm just looking across. It's kind of looking. I guess that's where these guys, they're so good at these drafts and they've already come so far. I'm sure they've got some good ideas, or they're looking through their lists here to try to finish off and perfect these teams of 6.
yeah, let's take a look at VLF PH's team and see if we can make some suggestions here. So he has uh, Giratina, Origin. What does he have? Tyranitar.
Yeah, I like how his team is shaping up.
He actually like is
But yeah, B. Topher gets to do the back-to-back picks. These are crucial, very important picks for his team of 6 here, and can take away some of his competitors' final picks as well.
So his team is weak to Snorlax, but no, there's no Pokemon right now, at least at the top, that runs across his team altogether. But Virizion, like a soft counter, because he still has to land that close combat. Garchomp.
Does he look at Gardevoir at all?
Gardevoir's
It's
already
kinda
been picked.
slow.
It's already been
Oh,
picked.
my fault.
Um, what's a good pick against Tyranitar? But he already has Virizion, so does he need to worry about it that much? I'm trying to think what you would like a dark type would do okay here. I just don't know what it would be.
Yeah, you've got Weavile. I don't know, something that I haven't used in Master League.
Yeah, Weavile. Let's take a look at Weavile's matchup against Snorlax. That's an interesting.
Ooh, against Snorlax? Ooh, I don't know. I know it's got the Focus Blast, but it's
Weavile wins.
It wins.
Right? Weavile. Actually, that's a really good pick because it's able to beat Garchomp, has and able to beat Dragonite. It loses to Togekiss, but still Togekiss has to worry about no shield consideration.
Right.
And then Focus Blast for Dialga. I think those are, and then
Avalanche really hurts for sure.
and then obviously probably does pretty well against Hydreigon, and then probably Mew as well, depending on the movesets. But it's so glassy, it's hard to use.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
I think that's actually a really good one. I like that. So, I like that pick for sure. Okay, all right. Let's keep going down as we give them a little bit more time to. Oh, that's an excellent suggestion. Let's see if they heard it before selecting, or maybe they've already selected it. So we see Yowza having Snorlax. What else does he have? Heracross, Lugia, and Palkia.
I like his team.
Yeah. And let's see. So weak to Mewtwo, Togekiss, Lugia, Dragonite, Gyarados. The problem here is like a decent pick would be like especially to kick. I don't know. Let's see what the no. A lot of these picks. Jirachi.
Or do a lot of people have their Jirachi saved for Great League? Yeah, Jirachi could be a good pick.
If they're a Master League drafter, then I think it's worth it. But Jirachi, an excellent pick here. Ooh, Articuno.
I'd like to see some Articuno play.
Gonna be able to do pretty well against Lugia and Dragonite. Probably doesn't do that well against Gyarados. Does neutral damage, but gonna be able to take care of a lot of these. Gets pretty desperate down here, but it's a pretty well balanced team when Alolan Sandslash is one of the potential alternatives. So I think it's pretty decent. But losing a Mewtwo across the board is kind of tough to deal with. Also, Weavile here, right?
Yeah, maybe
right?
just that the play to give you that at least some sort of pressure against it.
Yeah, it has dark movesets that you can pressure Mewtwo. Obviously, it's not to worry about a number of different moves from Mewtwo, but I think pretty decent. Okay, let's take a look at Dutch Goku and see what movesets are gonna be.
I think after the whole lock-on hype, we might see a Reggie-less draft. Imagine no
Ooh, you
one
think
selecting a
so?
Reggie.
Mm.
I don't know. I mean,
Good.
it's tough. We're getting to the final rounds. I think a Reggie could help some of their teams, not the one we're looking at specifically, but
Yeah. Okay.
Reggie lock on
Giratina altered. Swampert.
could
Uh,
help put more shield pressure, right? If you've got a
Lucario.
couple Pokemon that put pressure on the shields, and then you've got a Pokemon with lock on.
Let's see here. Um, weakness to man. We see a lot of weakness to Lugia, Dragonite,
Yeah,
Gyarados. Um,
I think that's expected in
these are
Master.
good Pokemon. Yeah, for sure. Let's see what they suggest as alternatives. Glaceon. Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Glaceon, pretty interesting, especially with that Icy Wind Avalanche.
Yeah.
Uh, has Ice Shard as well. Gonna be a pretty interesting pick. Very mono type though. Like
Mhm.
even with Last Resort, doesn't really give you a lot of coverage.
No.
Regice.
Yeah, I think if you wanted some sort of like ice
Ooh,
Pokemon,
I think Regice. Yeah. Why not? Right. Even though it loses to Guillotine Altered because of the ancient power, you're at least gonna be able to take some shields, right?
yeah, exactly. That lock on just charges those charge moves so quick.
Right. Like you can conceivably just play like uh, this matchup, right, where you lose it, but at least you grab a shield,
Right.
right? So we can come away with that matchup. That's not bad. Regice, I think, is decent. Articuno, gonna have some decent match. Actually, loses to Guillotine Altered still. It's because of the ancient
Yeah.
power.
Even though
Yeah,
I want to see the Articuno, I almost think that the Regice is the more responsible pick
yeah, yeah.
and might do the best against some of the meta. Regirock is interesting because it's key matchups: Snorlax, Darkrai, Melmetal, Togekiss, Lugia.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get through this draft. I think someone's going to pick up a Reggie. I think someone almost has to.
I think
We'll
Reggie's
see though.
definitely a strong consideration. Okay,
Hmm.
let's go to Ivy here. What's his team is Dragonite, Metagross, Hariyama, Dragonite.
And then while we're doing this, everyone in the chat, does anyone have like a favorite? Does anyone think that someone will dominate based on some of their team picks? Or
What's
is
it?
it too hard to call at this point? Do we have any friends or fans of some of these battlers, right? I think you're really good at highlighting communities. Obviously, with all the mega tournaments that you're going to, we're finding stars all over the place. We saw Lemon Lime just do well in California, and some of these names in this draft or worldwide will become more familiar as they win more of these type of tournaments. Mummy Dust is saying Scissor in the chat. Must be a
Scizor,
big
yeah,
fan.
yeah. So, who's this? Ivy's team is weak to both Giratinas,
Hmm.
which is so maybe like another check. Does lose to Dragon. Does have a check with Dragonite. Go. Obviously, doesn't have to worry about Metagross. Mewtwo would also be a concern. Mew.
Hmm.
Let's see what some of the suggestions are. Scizor was one of them. Loses still loses to the Giratinas, right? So, Alolan Muck, right? I think Alolan
Yeah,
Muck is a strong pick for Ivy, and it has a
yeah. Only
wide
one
variety.
weakness.
Yeah, it has a wide variety of movesets, right? And we don't see a lot of ground in Masters, so
Yeah,
I think that's
I'm a big fan of Pokemon with one weakness. I feel like you put yourself in a good position to
yeah, for sure.
not get blown up.
Let's see if they've gone on and selected their Pokemon here. So, um, B Topher. All right, let's see here. Uh,
these are not picks you want to rush too, right? This can make or break your tournament by giving your team that balance or that Pokemon that can put you over the top.
Okay, so B Topher is selecting a Alolan Muck. Alolan Muck, I
Okay.
think a really strong pick.
Yeah.
Um, let's see here. I think I like Alolan Muck in Masters. I like it a lot. I think it's the star in Ultra,
Yeah.
but it's a great late round Master League pick. So, oh, okay.
Yeah, it gives his team that balance that we were talking about that he might have been missing, or
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's see here. Let's see. VLFPH selecting Granbull.
interesting. I saw it in the list, didn't
Oh
think it was
man,
worth mentioning, but I guess having that Charmer,
yeah. I guess it's what is it, the third after Gardevoir and Togekiss, the third highest CP
yeah.
fairy charmer. Obviously, uh, uh, um, what's it called? What's the male version of Gardevoir?
Oh,
I don't know.
Gallade.
Gallade. I don't know why I'm blanking. You could run Gallade with Charm, but Granbull, and it has close combat too. So I think
Yeah,
pretty.
having Crunch too can put some sort of
And
pressure,
then,
do some damage to
yeah,
the
as well.
Ghost.
Like, it has two Pokemon that are pretty weak to fighting. So, like, not to put so much pressure on Giratina Origin. Sometimes, like, in these drafts, like, when you have one Pokemon that has to check so many things, it oh, Latias also has Charm. But
Hmm.
I think it's, like, a pretty strong option. Has Crunch as well for Psychic types, close combat, a pretty good moveset. So,
Almost forget about Latias having Charm.
yeah.
Interesting.
Yazo is okay. No, it might. Um,
Snorlax, Lugia, Heracross, Palkia.
uh,
Hmm.
okay, so it looks like we're waiting on Yaoza to select. Um, yeah, okay. Let's take a look. Okay, I think we've. Let's take a look. I guess we have two more teams to look at to see how they're
Yeah.
gonna balance out. Darkest David. Um,
Wonder if he follows suit or just goes Weavile.
Weaville's a strong. It's a good. The thing is, I think it's a maybe better on paper pick than. At least
Agreed.
I haven't seen a lot of people utilize it very effectively, just because it's so glassy. It hits so hard, but it's so glassy. Has really
Yeah, I'm
great
not a big
moves.
fan of Pokemon that you almost like have to shield, right?
Yeah,
Committing a shield.
yeah, and it's hard to actually, to be honest, to sim the weaknesses of David's Pokemon because they have so many moves. Right, like when he, like this, like Mew might be able to cover
Yeah.
off all the weaknesses, right? So let's see here. Okay, so gonna be weak to Origin. Okay, all right. Weak to Kyogre,
Maybe
but
just pick up the
but
Regice.
that might be fixed like if you put Thunderbolts, right? Uh,
Right.
um, Guillotine altered. Obviously Mew itself, Lugia. But a lot of these things can so many. The thing is, like, Mew is so flexible that you can just like change your moveset and then account for it. So, like, I don't know what ice type move. He's more likely
I'll
to
take.
run. He's more likely to run this moveset though. Like, if he runs into a team with Giratina, it still loses, but at least gonna be able to put some pressure on. And then Kyogre, like if he runs a team with Kyogre, you can just switch it to Thunderbolt, for example, or Wild Charge. Actually, Wild Charge better, right? So like, and then Kyogre, well, it moves down the list, so he can like rotate the movesets to try and figure out. It's hard to sim, hard to sim his team. There's so many
Very.
moves, like it's difficult to do this one. So, uh, yeah. Oh man, I would hate to battle a Mew team, especially someone with a lot of TMs, because you need to think about like what are they trying to potentially cover.
Right.
Um, Annie Bear team is going to be Darkrai, which I think we're going to see a lot of interesting use of Darkrai. Kyogre, man, I love Kyogre. You could run a number of different movesets This again, like depending on what Pokemon you're up against. Um, Terrakion.
I don't know if you asked, but the ice moves on Mew is Blizzard and Ice Beam.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, ooh, okay. Interesting. Pretty big weakness to Dialga. Leafeon. Okay, I guess because of Terrakion and Kyogre.
Right.
Ooh, interesting. Like the Razor Leafers are gonna do a lot of damage. Okay, so probably some pretty. Oh, man. Okay. All right. So, how can you deal with Dialga?
How?
You would think that
Dialga.
Terrakion could beat Dialga, but it actually can't. It can't.
It only has 2 weaknesses to fighting and ground.
Yeah. Um.
Do you just go for one of the Reggies? And then you've got that Focus Blast pressure, maybe?
Let's see here. So in the one shield, it only has 27 losses, but you go Excadrill, right?
I don't know if that's the pick.
Poliwrath, Blaziken,
Maybe.
Gallade.
Yeah, maybe.
It goes Registeel. Yeah, some of these picks are so hard to. But it's only one team you have to worry about, right? But
Right.
so if we look at Losto's team, who has the Dialga, if you go Poliwrath, he's a lot of things to account for Poliwrath. Like he has the Mewtwo and Latios, but
Haven't even considered Poliwrath for Master League. Let's see where it falls in the ranks.
Surprised that Rhydon wins, but Rhyperior loses. Is that right?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What the heck? Oh, because it's wearing SmackDown. Rhyperior. You have to worry.
Right.
Yeah, you have to worry about Groudon and Suicune though. Like, this is tough. Like, it's hard when right now your entire team is weak to Dialga. How do you better account for that? I think like a different fighting Pokemon besides Terrakion might have been better.
Yeah.
But obviously can't.
Rhyperior gets superpower, but I don't know if Gallade. I don't think Gallade is that. The thing is, like Gallade, it'd take forever to get to its close combat.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not that bad. Like,
No.
It's it would be like 4 confusions.
Oh, really? Okay. 4 confusions.
But the thing is, I don't know. Like, this is some of the things when you are in close combat is like, is there a situation if you land, for example, if you land I guess if you land the close combat, it's a one shot, almost one shot. I think Gallade. I think Gallade's Gallade not bad. Like that Leaf Blade is gonna deal super effective damage to Groudon and to Suicune, right? You have Leaf Blade for Mewtwo, but like Mewtwo's gonna be tough out. But okay, let's see what they've gone and picked. Okay, let's see. Yowza. Okay, where am I? VLF selected. Yowza selected Armored Mewtwo.
Oh, I can't believe I didn't mention Armored Mewtwo.
Oh, wow.
Neither of us have today.
Wow. Okay,
Well,
that's an
it's not a
excellent
fighting move.
It has Dynamic Punch, Confusion, and Rock Slide, and then typically that's the moveset it runs.
Embarrassed that I didn't mention Armored Mewtwo.
Very defensive.
Yeah.
Stats probably it's not that great, but Armored Mewtwo could be pretty good. I like that pick for sure.
I do as well. Very good pick.
Oh, Dutch Goku. He's going with the Juma Banks pick.
Which
Reggie Ice.
Nice. Good call. I feel like at this point, to get it in the 5th round is a very valuable pick.
It's a very good pick for sure.
Let's see. Yeah. So we got Armored Mewtwo on Yowza's team.
Okay, let's see here. So
Regice.
Ivy's gonna select Weavile.
Okay,
I think Weavile, man, in the hands of a skilled trainer, can be really good, but it's so hard to use. It's so glassy.
Yeah. And it looks like he's like Electivire is pretty glassy as well. So he's got two glassy.
But take care of his like Ice Shard, Snarl, Foul Play, Avalanche, Focus Plus. Really great moveset. Gonna hit super hard. I think that's pretty good. So we're gonna see what Darkest David. I to be honest, like Darkest David seems like so difficult to try to understand what to pick next, just because the Mew could have so many movesets. In Gyarados, you could run Waterfall, Dragon Breath, right? Even Malmetal, you could run Rock Slide, Superpower, Flash Cannon, Thunderbolt, Garchomp, like Sand Tomb, Outrage, Earthquake. I think it has Fire Blast as well. So you have like a number of different moves that could cover. So let's see.
I've been wrong all day guessing, but I'll say he'll go Regirock.
Regirock, okay. Let's in an alternative way, let's take a look at the ranking, and see what hasn't been picked. Regirock is probably the highest one that hasn't been picked.
Yeah. That's really just my basis on picking that. It's just it's the highest one on the board that hasn't been picked yet.
He's very methodical on his picks. Rayquaza? No, I don't think he needs Rayquaza.
What does Rayquaza need to be a little better? Like, I just double moved my first hundo more so I could just have the aerial ace without flipping the TMs, right? Just to have it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, what do you think? It's just like a Dragon's Breath, or do you think that'll make it too overpowered?
It's pretty glassy. Like you see, it's 6,200 stat product compared to Palkia at 6,800 and Dialga at 7,000, right? So let's see Dragon Breath. Actually, let's see what Dragon Tail gives us right now. So it gives you 173, which is not bad, but Dragon Breath gonna give you 184, right? So like
doesn't make it overpowered, right?
No, it doesn't. Definitely not. I don't know if Dragon Claw is gonna necessarily make it any better.
I just know Niantic's watching your channel, King, right? So like any suggestions you can give them. Right?
193, it certainly would move up on the list. It would probably crack like top. It's already 34, right? It's high stat product. It probably cracks to the top 25, but it's probably still gonna. It might move ahead of Latios, but it's definitely way less bulky than Palkia. So it's glassy, 4 times weakness to ice, weakness to rock. Rhyperior, Registeel, Jirachi if he has one maxed.
I think Polog Gaming might be one of the Great League battlers. He says, who wants to calculate the dust of maxing out all Pokemon from raid level and second move? You're looking at like
it's
370k per. Roughly?
It's 248,000 from level 20 to max,
right.
And then 100,000, so 348. And if it's level 25, I think it's 220,000.
So 1.5 million if you were doing 6 legendaries for your team.
Yeah.
Right, roughly.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you should lucky trade them.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah,
like it's more the candy that's going to be a consideration.
Yeah.
Like lucky trades, like Lucky Friends have been out for a while, right? So I think that's the way to go. It's still going to be 100,000 for the second move, but really, I think like you need, if you're talking about like this is Draft Masters, is like there's a reason why like more than half of them said like, oh, my pastime is grinding, because you need a lot of dust. Like it's a lot, right? Like back before I did PvP, I was spending like, 2 million a month, right? Powering
just
up
to
legend.
do some cool flexes for these raid challenges.
Exactly, right? Or power up a new set of legendaries because it was slightly better, or it's a little more tanky, or all that stuff, right? So I think but it can still be done if you lucky trade, right? Or you make some deal with one of your friends that raids a lot that's not into whatever PvP. Like I don't know what it is, right? Or like someone who's
Yeah.
shiny hunts. Like maybe they can double move and trade you a lucky, guaranteed
Yeah.
lucky. There's
And
like
the,
ways, right? So
and the good news, like for everyone, if this is putting some stress in everyone's mind, watching this draft and thinking about all the dust and candies, like for the Go Battle League, you need 3 Pokemon, right?
that's
So
it. Just
you don't
match your
have to
three.
have exactly. Think of a good three. Doesn't have to be legendaries, or you might have that one legendary.
I
It's
think
just teams.
you can totally run a team with no legendaries like
Agreed.
Snorlax,
Yeah.
Dragonite, Togekiss, right?
Yeah. Very good suggestion by you.
Metagross. There's a number of different
Yeah.
Pokemon that I think are pretty viable. I can, not a number. There's probably like 5 to 10, but still ones that you can pick and you can lucky trade. And there's ways to save Stardust. Like even Malmetal. I was telling people like
Yeah.
get someone that has a snowy like level 35 Malmetal, lucky trade it. You're talking about like 80,000 dust to max from level
Yep.
35 plus 100,000 to double move. So, okay, so we're gonna see Darkest David select Blaziken. I think it's a really strong pick for him.
Yeah, not a Pokemon that I've considered for Master League. Of course, we haven't gone, or I haven't gone in depth into one of these, draft Master League tournaments, which is awesome to see. So Blaziken, 62 on PV Poke. Of course, counters an amazing quick move.
Blast Burn.
Blast
You
Burn.
might run
Yeah.
Focus Blast, right? Like, there's some
Yeah.
different moves I can run. And then Annie Beret selected Registeel.
Registeel before the Rock.
Wow. Okay. All right. Hopefully, The Rock is not watching. It'll be very
That's funny.
Registeel, and then he selected a grass Pokemon.
Oh, really? Did he go with Venusaur? No.
No.
What did he do? Let's see. Grass.
Torterra.
Oh, because of the bulk, Razor Leaf, and then it has Sand Tomb.
Yeah. And
Interesting.
the ground typing, yeah, for sure. That's a very. I did not expect Torterra to be selected. Really, I just had
I
double
didn't
check.
either. But it is the next highest, I guess, rank grass-wise. What does he... Does he do that because he's concerned about some Pokemon on other people's teams?
What's he concerned
Like,
about?
the
What is
Swampert?
To be honest, Torterra kind of makes his team. The thing is, there's not a lot of grass, but Torterra makes his team more weak to Razor Leafers. But like Registeel kind of deals with that, right? As a check.
Interesting.
Okay, let's see what Darkest David. It's an
The
interesting.
final round, everybody. +280 viewers. Appreciate everyone coming in this morning, or almost noon now,
Yeah, or whatever time zone you're in. And
right?
so Holden McGroin saying he really likes who Yowza's team. I think it's a pretty solid team. Darkest David, man, what does he need? What does he need?
What does Darkest David need?
The thing with Blaziken's actually a pretty good pick because it's gonna pressure some of the ice, but not a ton of ice, right? Like what do we see in ice? You see Mamoswine and Regice, right? Besides that, like 2 of 8 teams, like 2 of 7 people get in the face. That's all you'll take into consideration. Like what do people have?
Yeah, that's true. We're looking at, everything. Not everyone may have, a Hundo Articuno or a Hundo, Zapdos. I guess he doesn't need any electric. He's got Melmetal. Well, I guess with Melmetal you don't have to run Thunderbolt, right? But I would think...
So we can like pair up teams. So for example, if we go Darkest David versus let's say Annie Beret, his team's complete, right? So if you were to compare these teams, so Darkrai, let's go Pokemon. I think we go Pokemon by Pokemon. Darkrai gonna be checked by Blaziken, right? Because Blaziken's gonna resist Snarl. It doesn't have to worry about Shadow Ball. Like in this case, like if you were going against David's team, you'd probably run Shadow Ball over Dark Pulse. to be able to hit for the Blaziken if you do get locked into that matchup. So Blaziken checks it. Probably goes pretty even with Garchomp. Probably goes pretty even. Well, he has to worry about superpower from Melmetal. Probably goes pretty even with Gyarados because Gyarados is probably not going to. It's obviously can't run Crunch. It's unlikely to run Dragon Breath, considering there's a Gardevoir and Registeel. If it does come in, and then the Mew has to worry about Focus Blast, Low Sweep, but Low Sweep doesn't do that much damage, especially from a Mew. So, Darkrai looking not bad against the team is not. Kyogre has to worry about the Melmetal. Does that have to worry about Gyarados? I don't know if it beats Gyarados with again. It's hard to run.
Yeah.
Hard to run Dragon Breath. Let's see here. I'm just trying to. I'm trying to think logically of how I would approach this. Let's say it is running Dragon Breath and Crunch. Do you still? So you lose, but if it's not running it, it's running Bite, for example. Do you still? Gyarados still wins, just barely though. Just barely. And then if it's running, and would it run Bite? Maybe, probably not. If it runs Waterfall, oh, interesting. It still beats it if it runs Waterfall.
You're saying Gyarados beats Kyogre?
Yeah, but maybe if you run Thunder instead, you definitely don't get to a Thunder. So like this, oh, actually you do get to a Thunder. So if you run Thunder, then you can check the Gyarados. Obviously, hard probably beats Garchomp.
It's a shame we gotta wait for these battles. We want to pick the 6th round and then just get the popcorn ready and watch some battles.
I know. So like Kyogre has to worry about the Melmetal. Gonna be able to beat the Blaziken pretty easily. The Mew, I think. Man, I can't imagine a moveset that Mew can run that would allow it to win.
Against what again? Mew versus.
This is Kyogre.
Oh.
Let's say most optimal moveset. That's probably the most optimal moveset. Kyogre's going to win the one shield. But can't switch in because it's going to get hit by a Dragon Claw. But it has to also fall for this bait. So if it just double Thunderbolts, it's going to land the Thunderbolt, but it's...
It looks like we just cracked 300 viewers as well for the stream. Shout out to everyone who joined us.
Wow, okay. I think okay. Maybe something to again, just one Pokemon, but I guess you Melmetal. Melmetal is probably enough. Even if you don't run oh man, if you don't run Thunderbolt, then you're literally just gonna get oh my gosh. You kind of need superpower for Darkrai though. Ooh, Kyogre looking pretty good against Darkest David's team right now. Right, even with running just because the waterfalls do so much, has so much bulk, can take a Thunderbolt, does about just over half, but is just right on a Rock Slide. So, and obviously Kyogre's gonna destroy Blaziken. So that's one Pokemon to consideration and to factor in. Yeah, man, it's Let's see what he picked. Oh, okay. Did he pick yet? No, David is still thinking. Okay, let's compare.
No rush on this one.
Yeah, this is last round, right? But I think Kyogre definitely a strong pick, right? Doesn't have to worry about a lot of these moves are going to be like if you can't switch in a Kyogre onto a Melmetal, for example, but a heads up matchup. Locked in matchup, opening matchup, he can win the one shield.
Wow.
Can beat a Garchomp, can beat Gyarados if it's running Thunder. No reason to run Blizzard because you're still going to beat Garchomp. Going to beat Mew, going to beat Blaziken. but let's see against Ivy's team. So, Dragonite, Garchomp. Dragonite probably beats Garchomp. We're probably going to lose to Melmetal. Against Dragon Breath, Gyarados, probably going to be pretty close. Let's see here. This is probably going to be pretty close. No, Dragonite wins in the one shield. Again, the one shield's not everything. I'm just saying as one potential example.
Good standard, right?
Yeah.
Not everyone wants to burn 2 shields on one Pokemon, although worth it in some situations.
Yeah. He is Gyarados. So Dragonite gonna lose to Melmetal because of the Rock Slide.
Right.
Potentially lose. Mew's gonna be dangerous because of the Ancient Power, because of the Ice Beam, and they're gonna be able to beat Blaziken. So not too concerned about Dragonite. Metagross gonna lose to Garchomp. Gonna lose to Mew. Probably has like Blaziken probably has a decent matchup. Gyarados gonna have recently that matchup, so don't worry about too much of that. Hariyama gonna lose to Mew, probably gonna lose to Gyarados. Probably pretty even matchup with Blaziken, so don't have to worry about that. Electivire gonna get walled by Garchomp by a lot, but it has to worry about the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is gonna do like probably still a decent amount. Has gonna be able to check. Gonna Melmetal, I guess, will probably beat it. Gyarados will lose. I'm sure Mew can find a way to win. And then Blaziken and Electivire are probably pretty close in terms of their matchup. And then Weavile makes it difficult to run the Garchomp. Loses to Melmetal. Probably loses to Gyarados if it's running Waterfall. Or even Dragon Breath. Probably
There's just so much to consider. Holy.
It's a lot. And then Weavile. So I don't think Darkest David versus Ivy's team, like, there's not necessarily any Pokemon right now that he has to check, but he also has to anticipate what else could be potentially run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looking at the first 5 rounds, do you have a favorite team? Just so.
Okay, let's see here.
Kind of like Yowzers? Is that?
Yeah,
it's so hard to just pick.
It's hard. These teams are. You also want to see like how they match up, right? So
yeah.
I think for Dutch Goku's team, he has to pick an anti-fighting.
Right. So what would that be? Let's take a look here. What's left?
Gallade. Even Gallade's okay.
Yeah.
Right? Just because, like, Lucario, Hydreigon, Regice, all weak to fighting. And then, like, if he runs into, like, Heracross, so, like, Heracross versus Dutch Goku, it's, like, pretty dangerous because it probably will, I don't know if it beats a Swampert, but it probably does pretty well against Swampert. Gonna beat the last 3, probably. And then, because it doesn't have to worry about the earthquake damage from Regice either. Obviously, Heracross Giratina is not great, but are you gonna rely on one Pokemon to beat it? Like, I think it's just good to double up there, if you want to. They all have pretty good teams. It's just hard to line them up, right? Let's see if Darkest David has picked. So Darkest David picked Zapdos.
Okay.
He is Team Instinct. I think that's an interesting pick. I guess Zapdos does help him against the Kyogre matchup.
And then he doesn't have to have the electric charge move on Mew or Melmetal.
Yeah, exactly. Gonna be it's still like that matchup is probably still a little iffy. Like if we run, let me just go to this matchup quickly. Just because Kyogre just does so much damage. You probably want to run Thunderbolt.
Ever since you beat me in that Master League match, I've been wanting to double move my Kyogre. I have the candies.
Oh
I
no,
just
you're
like,
right.
do I
No,
pull the trigger?
never mind. So Zapdos still absolutely annihilates. So I think that's a really good pick
Yeah.
because that Kyogre was basically free lead for any berry. I think that's an excellent pick. Really
Yeah,
good.
nice.
And it has like a number of different moves to check, and it says that ancient power, strong pick, very strong pick.
And you kept mentioning extra drill, and I kept saying, no way, it's not that bad ranked actually. I'm not saying for like his pick or the last pick, but it was one of those ones where I'm like, there's no way it's good. What about Celebi? You said an anti-fighter. So
Celebi? Okay. Let's see. Okay, Ivy's team. Okay, let's compare it to the two completed teams. So, so we know that none of his Pokemon right now are like free leads against Darkest David's team, right? Not necessarily they need it. It's more of a luxury, right? You just don't want to have like a big weakness to it, right? So if we take a
Right.
look at his team, what's what Pokemon could be a lot of trouble?
We're looking at whose team, sorry?
Ivy's team in comparison to Darkest David.
It's just hard for me to see the team right now.
Oh,
Where we
sorry.
are on the
Sorry,
screen.
sorry,
No,
sorry,
you're
sorry.
good.
Sorry, yeah.
Let's see. We're looking at IVs compared to David's.
Yeah.
What does he need?
Some people are saying Kyogre with Blizzard. It just won't reach Blizzard. Like Zapdos will like reach multiple charge moves before it reaches
Yeah.
Blizzard. That's the tough part. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's see here. So, Garchomp, he checks. Melmetal, he checks.
Could he be thinking like rock damage? Like, would Regirock be the one to take care of Zapdos?
But loses to Blaziken. It's going to lose to Gyarados. But probably pretty close to Gyarados. But that waterfall damage is going to add up.
Okay.
And then it has to worry about Garchomp as well.
I was hesitant to say versus Gyarados. I'm like, wait a second. What the heck can he pick?
Yeah, man. He doesn't necessarily need to have a free switch in. Or a free Pokemon to...
This is just a great format to like get used to, or just like looking at this Master League in detail.
It's this is a pretty difficult. These late round picks, I don't envy them because like they're pretty difficult.
They can make or break the tournament.
I don't think Regirock is the answer.
No, I agree. No, it's definitely not.
Kind of leaves you double weak to fighting, and you don't necessarily have a lot of like fighting deterrence. You have Dragonite a little bit, depending on which fighter you're going up against. You have Metagross, kinda. It's gonna take neutral. Metagross with Psychic is pretty good. Like, definitely a buff that people are not necessarily thinking about right away because they automatically think Meteor Mash Earthquake, but Meteor Mash Psychic is good too. It doesn't have to worry about flying at all.
I was shocked to see Zangoose in this 66. Not relevant, but just funny.
Some people were saying Venusaur. I could see it.
Well, against David's team?
I think just in general to round out his team.
Yeah.
Because he has a lot of anti-flying, so it's like very hard for people to run flying. Right, like even Gallade, because like Gallade with Charm, right? Because then the thing is, if you run Charm, then you're gonna get walled by Melmetal. But they don't really know that, right? That's something they have to figure out in the best of three. So you're saying for Alligator. For Alligator, man.
It's such a hard pick.
This is hard. Yeah, I don't envy these guys. This he's up against any Bears team.
Is Moltres any? I don't know if Moltres is the.
No, I don't like Moltres against the 2 completed teams already. Yeah. Okay, let's see what they actually picked. This is a tough one. I don't necessarily.
Porygon Z with Zap Cannon and Solar Beam. No, it can't be the.
Okay, so IV went with Gallade.
Okay, yeah, we'll leave it up to the experts.
I think
to pick.
that's pretty. It's pretty good.
You brought up Gallade, right? It's got its decent matchups.
Yeah, man, that's these late round picks are very tough, right? You can probably go back and what's happening there?
So he's got Gallade, Dutch Goku, which I like his team. What does he need?
I don't know why this Gallade looks okay. There you go.
Great setup, by the way, right? Everyone give a like on the video and the stream for, King putting in the effort to put all this, all the Pokemon up and give us a visual representative of this, powerful draft tournament. Appreciate everyone
Dutch
joining us
Goku's
today.
last pick. I like this one.
It's in. Let's see it.
Jirachi.
Nice.
I think
okay.
Jirachi's really good, and he gave the shout out to Peggy. So Peggy Snail. Raider, she also does like the Ultra League and Master League drafts. Very great 1v1. She did the her WQ13, which is just a rating on how difficult it is. She used Jirachi versus Aerodactyl.
Wow.
Very technical 1v1 raids.
So he selects a Pokemon that many of us save for Great League.
Yeah, but if you're a Master League drafter, right?
You gotta,
go out. Jirachi's really good. Confusion, Doom Desire, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam. Like there's a lot. Like Dazzling Gleam kind of sucks, but Psychic is pretty good, right? So and Doom Desire is really good too, paired with Confusion. Not really. He said he wanted to do it for anti-fighter. Kind of. It's kind of anti-fighter. It's neutral. The Confusion damage is going to do a lot. Okay.
You're not going to be a master of the Masters League leaving things under 1,500.
Okay. Yowza. Okay, what do you think of this? Okay, let's take a look at his team. He selected Regirock.
Good. Best one left on the board, but let's see how his team looks.
It's probably pretty decent.
I think
he has two
it's a
deterrents.
Good pick.
2 deterrents to anti-fighters, right?
Yeah.
And he has like potential mind games, right? Like especially with fighters, right? If they get the fighter, he might even he has a chance to double sack switch, right? Like bait out, farm down later on. Like if Mewtwo or Armored Mewtwo or Lugia are very good for his team, he could either go in with he could run Snorlax and Regirock against a team that is going to bring a fighter. He doesn't counter their fighter first. He can switch out he could bait out the fighter. So for example, say Mewtwo is really good against one of the teams, Rock Slide or Dynamic Punch. He could conceivably run Mewtwo, Snorlax, Regirock, switch out if he doesn't encounter the fighter, switch out to Regirock, bait out the fighter. The fighter is going to have to shield against Focus Blast or something that's able to one shot or put shield pressure on. Then come in with Lugia or Armored Mewtwo afterwards, farm down, and then have a ton of energy afterwards. So I think there's a lot of really interesting strategies there. So I think that's a very strong pick.
Yeah, I like his team. Solid team.
A lot of potentials to farm down afterwards. So it does have to be careful with some Pokemon, but for example against Hariyama, it might be a more viable one to farm down with Armored Mewtwo or Lugia, just because it doesn't carry that Rock Slide or Shadow Ball damage. Right, he's gonna have to hit with Heavy Slam, which is not gonna do a lot anyway. So I think great pick. Great, I like that pick a lot.
Only 3 more picks left.
All the Reggies are gone.
All the Reggies are gone, so slow
Yeah.
start for them, but a great compliment to a lot of people's teams.
Yeah. I like that pick. Okay, what do you think VLFPH? Um, oh man, okay. What is his team? His team is he doesn't have to worry too much about fighting now because he's double up, which I think is a very smart move, right? So like fighters are gonna definitely have to be very wary of coming in because of the Giratina origin and Grand Ball. So I like that a lot. Um, does he have to worry about? No, not really. He doesn't really have about water too. He's spoken of the Tyranitar and does he have to worry about? He's a pretty well balanced team. What's he have to worry about? Hmm. Yeah, it's a pretty decent. It's a pretty well balanced team, to be honest. I don't see
Yeah.
any major holes uh, in the team. Someone pointed out Regigigas is still here. uh,
Maybe not for this tournament.
kind of steel. Yeah, I don't know. Someone's Sweden saying Excadrill for his team. Excadrill, man, that kind of like you're kind of daring a fighter to come then, right? Steelix, man, like another weakness of fighting is
Yeah. I did see some of them select Steelix in previous
the,
drafts, but yeah, maybe
the
not for
thing.
this
The thing,
particular team.
Steelix carries the same water and fighting weakness as Heatran and Tyranitar, but you do have like two decent checks for both. Like for water, you have Giratina and Virizion, and then for fighting, you do have. I think you have a triple weakness to ground, which then you have just Virizion for. Um,
Does Latias make sense?
Ooh, okay, all right. Latias brings a triple weakness, no, quad weakness to charm,
Okay.
but has the biggest anti charmer, right? Someone saying Empoleon. Man, that's another fighting weakness. Like Articuno. Articuno? What does Articuno give you?
So do we want another fighting counter to almost like dare the fighting to come out? And what would that be?
I don't know. You're pretty too strong. Some water ice coverage, I guess. Man, this is pretty. Oh man, these are so hard.
Yeah.
I just,
Magnezone to give him the electric?
man, let's say the same thing.
Weak to
Ground,
fighting.
more weakness to fighting, double weak to ground on two Pokemon is so dangerous, right? And you don't really have like you have Virizion, but you have nothing to farm it with, right? That's the problem, right? Like Virizion can come in and counter it afterwards, but like you can't farm, right? And like you still have to worry. I guess you still, yeah. It's just that's a tough
It's not
one.
easy. It's not easy, but this is what makes the Masters the Masters.
Venusaur.
Venusaur
That's
was a
interesting.
discussion.
That's interesting. Like if they come with ground, now you have a Pokemon that can farm,
Yeah.
right? Scizor for alligator. Oh man. I just don't know what for alligator gives. It's a strong pick. I just don't know what it gives you afterwards.
Yeah, one of my favorite starters, but it's still hard for me to just select it.
It does have Ice Fang. Like if you're worried about dragons, not really, because you have Grand Ball and Heatran. Cresselia.
Oh, Cresselia is not one that. Oh, it's not that favorable rank wise.
But Cresselia, not bad. Like another anti-fighter, but
Right.
has like some interesting moves. Melodic. Porygon Z. Just like I can't.
Everything. I almost suggested that one too.
I just get fighting. You're just daring someone
Yeah.
to bring fighting, right? And the thing is, like, if they bait out your Tyranitar, or if they bait out Tyranitar, then Tyranitar's gonna get farmed,
Yeah.
right? And
It's a
then
bad
you
matchup.
know, for example, if like they come in Hariyama, they farm down Tyranitar, and you come in Grand Bull, then you're gonna get double heavy slammed, right? Like, which is not gonna KO Grand Bull. Oh, it might KO Grand Bull. So like, then you're left with Giratina. Then you're left with, like, man, this is tough.
Maybe it's Celebi, the last mythical on the
Ew,
board.
Celebi, Celebi.
So tough. Confusion Speed Bomb. I know. I think
That's not
whatever it
bad.
is.
The Confusion Seed Bomb, because then that gives you ground coverage,
Yeah.
right? Gives you fighting.
Take a chunk out of Swampert or Kyogre.
The thing is,
Potentially.
it makes you three Pokemon weak to fire types, but not a lot of fire, right? Like, what do we see?
Right.
We see 2 fire Pokemon selected so far. Unlikely that many more left. That's not bad. Seed Bomb. So like now that you see a lot of ground too, but potential consideration. Yeah, you only see like 2 or 3. You only see like 3 ground types selected so far. Four, but like 2 of them have like make grass neutral. Executor. He picked. Okay, so he picked Articuno.
Nice.
I think that's
He
a
just
good
won
one.
the tournament.
I think that's a good pick. Let me. Okay, let's see.
Team Mystic.
What do you think for B Topher?
B Topher. What does B Topher need? I think every time we ask for this sixth pick, it's like
The 6th pick is super
so
hard.
tough.
Articuno. Let's see here.
I wish as each new legendary came out, I actually learned to say the names right, so I don't sound stupid on stream. What's the legendary Cabalion?
Cabalion?
Is that?
Cabalion?
I know I don't have one, and I know these charge moves aren't very good.
Ooh, Cabalion? What does that give
It's
you?
like you said, that quick move Metal Claw is kind of like...
Kind of not great, but...
No. I
Uh,
think Niantic will maybe do something with that legendary eventually, move-wise. I know Moltres is not that great of a pick. Just like take the last Team Bird off the board. He doesn't really have a dragon, or he doesn't have a dragon, right? So do you go Salamence or Rayquaza?
I think you'll Latias over...
Or yeah, Latias. Yeah, good point, right? Adding oh, I guess you've already got Charm User with Togekiss. You could just Dragon Breath with Latias, and
The thing is, it doesn't win Dragon Breath. It doesn't win you that many heads-up dragon matchups, right?
and if it just had Dragon Claw instead of Outrage, it might be a little better.
Okay, so what do you weaken? And then you also have Togekiss and Mamoswine, which are both very good dragon counters.
Right.
And you're not really worried about Dialga. Rayquaza, man, Rayquaza is so hard to use. Like,
They should give Ursaring some better charge moves. Well, I guess Play Rough's not good, really.
it's close combat, and yeah.
Its quick moves are nice with Shadow Claw and Counter, but do you just follow up and do Glaceon? Do you need Glaceon?
Do you need Glaceon? You already have Mamoswine.
Oh yeah, you don't.
Kind of makes you really weak to fighters because
don't
even
do it.
Alolan Muck, right? It's typically carry Snarl, Dark Pulse, Sludge Wave. Yeah, a little too weak to fight. You have a lot of anti-flying already.
I've seen a lot of Scissor suggestions throughout the stream.
Scizor, yeah.
We are running out of options.
Scizor,
Like Flash.
Someone's saying Flygon.
What's Flygon ranked? I know rank isn't. It's 89.
Kind of like makes your team like, because ice is neutral to Mamoswine. Like Mamoswine ends up losing a lot of heads up ice matchups.
Okay, so do you?
They're saying Scizor, they're weak to ground already. It's kind of true. It's neutral. Ground's neutral, but you don't have any recourse to ground. I guess you have Mamoswine, but yeah, you don't have a ton of recourse. Man, someone's saying Gengar.
Yeah, he doesn't have Ghost.
Yeah, that could be a spicy pick.
Back in game.
That's like PogoRaids. Like if you're a raider,
Yeah.
you'd raid challenges. Like Gengar's a throwback pick, and then not a lot of psychic, right? Obviously Lugia and yeah, like how many teams carry a dedicated confusion user or psychic user? 3. What does it give you though? Magnet Zone, but so much weakness to ground.
Yeah, he's already got the electric. So do you Moltres? I know I've said Moltres.
Moltres,
like
yeah.
I think Moltres is okay. I mean,
double weak to rock, but not a ton of rock in this meta, right?
and you've got your Machamp to hopefully
deter dragons. Are you that scared of dragons? Are you that scared of? I guess helps you check ground. Not a lot of ground either. Someone said Chandelure.
I did look. I mean, not necessarily for his team, but just in general, I saw it on the list.
Hex, Shadow Ball, Overheat.
Energy Ball.
Energy. That's kind of throwback. I don't know if you're gonna KO anything with Energy Ball, but it's an interesting. Like, especially you could throw off someone, but then that makes you weak to ground again.
Right. So I think to not be weak to ground, maybe the Moltres or
Someone's saying Mamoswine. No, not Mamoswine. Vaporeon.
shout out to Taco. I do have a Vaporeon ready. Vaporeon
Okay,
does give him the water.
Let's see what they. Oh man, this is tough. Like these last 2 picks are.
Not a lot of grass on the field. Not that much electric. I mean,
he has one of the electrics too, right? So like, there's only 2 other
Yeah.
teams with electric. Yeah. Someone's saying Alakazam for alligator. For alligator, yeah, maybe for alligator.
I would almost pick Gengar over those 2. I don't. That's me just saying it without thinking.
Just like, okay, let's say Gengar.
Right.
What does Gengar help you pick up against any beret, for example? I don't see anything, right?
That's true.
Against Darkest David, I guess it helps you with the Mew matchup. You'd have to worry about Psyshock on Mew,
Yeah.
which is going to beat you to it. But it helps you with the Blaziken matchup. Probably just it doesn't lose this to Garchomp, right? It probably gets like outbulked by it probably gets outspanned by Malmetal and Zapdos, and then both of them probably have enough bulk to survive. That's the difference. Like Haunter, it's not the same matchup with like Haunter. Like Haunter, like these Pokemon have like significantly more bulk than Haunter, which compared greatly. But
a couple suggestions for water in the chat, and I've looked at it a few times. What do you think about Melodic?
Melodic, yeah, Waterfall, Dragon Tail, Surf, some pretty good moves.
Not a lot of grass, not a lot of electric, I guess. I don't know.
Oh man, this is very tough. Water was, I guess
Topher needs to put us out of our misery and just make a pick so we can just be like, good pick.
Yeah, Vaporeon. Okay, Vaporeon is not. Man, is it a good pick though? The thing is, can you even run Vaporeon? So like, say for example against Ulsa's team, right? It has the Groudon. Can you run a Vaporeon against that team, knowing that they have Dialga and Latios and Suicune, or like who's the other ground type that or like against any Beret's team? You're gonna run Vaporeon when they have Torterra, Kyogre, I guess like that's the only really checks. Who else is a ground one? You know what I mean? Like you gotta think realistically. Like what's he gonna do
Yeah.
super effective against? Like against Yowz's team, you gonna run Vaporeon for the Regirock? Are you're not worried about the Regirock? Like you know what I mean? Like it covers your ground weaknesses. Not a lot of ground.
Yeah, it's a good point.
You
It's so tough to make or break the tournament.
Rhyperior, oh man, just like ground weakness. But there's not a lot of ground, right? So that's not a big deal, right? Like, but the thing is, like, what else do you have to check ground with? Um, Especially one that's like that has, man. The thing, I don't think you have to worry. I don't say you have to worry too much about ground, but you basically have like half your team out of commission. That's what I mean. Like, and he doesn't have like anything that could farm up the ground afterwards.
Hmm.
That's what I'm saying. Like, checking the ground is like being weak to the ground is a bigger deal than checking the ground, right? Because like all the checks to ground, like they've like pretty much have covered already. Versus like being weak to ground means like like half your team is eliminated, then you become like more predictable.
Yeah. This just in, if we get to 200 likes, B. Topher will make his suggestion on teams. His last pick.
Okay, all right, we're waiting for 200 likes.
We just need 90 more, guys. There's 330
Okay,
watching.
let's see the likes pile in.
B. Topher's literally just waiting with his arms crossed until you guys click the like button.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. This is going to be this again. This format is very different for me as someone who has a lot of Master League Pokemon ready, and you know I don't have my 200 wins yet. I barely have just over 100 wins. This, you know, Master League and Ultra League for a lot of us is the unknown. Not for these particular people drafting, obviously, right? They're very skilled in their Master League, but
Okay,
this
so
is kind of new territory for our world.
how many likes are we at right now?
Let's refresh here. We jumped up 20 as soon as we asked. I think we just got to ask. People listen to you more, King. I think.
It's okay. It's okay. I don't need likes, but I would appreciate the likes, though. I would very much appreciate it. It's a lot of work to put all this stuff together, and obviously these are like really tough competitors. So he did make a pick, and he selected Rhyperior.
Okay, interesting because
it's a gutsy
the Mammoth Swine.
It's a gutsy play, but
I don't mind it for Master League, and then finding out that it has what is it, Superpower? I already forget the name of it.
Superpower, yeah, Superpower. Surf, it does have Surf, right? Surprise, it just doesn't generate energy that quickly.
Smackdown is decent.
Surf.
It doesn't sound like you're that happy with that selection.
It's a pick I wouldn't make, but
right.
It's a gutsy pick. It's just. I guess like the thing is,
you gotta go for the win.
Mud Slap. The thing is like, well, the thing is like against us's team. Like let's see like matchup to matchup. Like it is like Smackdown and Mud Slap. Mud Slap got a buff. Right, that Mud Slap damage is gonna do a lot to Dialga, but is that enough to actually beat Dialga? Considering Dialga can, it probably is actually, to be honest. Maybe I'm underestimating Rhyperior. Rhyperior is a great Pokemon. Maybe I'm just sleeping on it.
It's one that I was forced to, you know.
It has great stat spread. It has really, it's very bulky. So maybe I'm sleeping on it. Probably don't need all that. I guess you get to Superpower. Yeah, Rhyperior does dominate Dialga. So that's good. That's actually very good.
And you've covered a lot of like the stats for Ultra League and different Pokemon for this best buddy. Obviously, it doesn't flip the meta, but it'll be very interesting as well when you watch these battles, the CP or how many of these Pokemon are best buddies of these competitors. How many have they gotten up to best friend or?
Yeah, for sure.
It just adds a new dynamic.
You're not even that scared of. You are okay. Man, just Rhyperior is good. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of gameplay of it.
I've won with it and lost with it in Master League, so it's just one of those, like you said, it's a risky pick, right? With the fighting damage, some water out there.
You do have Mamoswine, um, which would probably one shot, almost one shot.
Maybe you encourage those fighters to come out and then just charm it down.
Yeah, yeah. It just depends on the. Yeah, he does have. Yeah, yeah.
The
No,
final pick, guys, we're waiting on the final pick for this Master League draft. It's pretty exciting because, again, eventually we'll be able to, watch these competitors battle. And then you've got, is it right after? Do you have a few hour break before you do your Great League Draft King with Valor Ash?
at 2 o'clock, so hour and a half.
Yeah.
So I actually need to set up for that one as well. So hopefully this last pick will come through. Scizor. Yeah. They're saying Scizor. Definitely Scizor.
All right, guys, please click the like button. And I think a lot of the viewers in here maybe are more used to Great League. So again, what a great meta to watch being picked. The open Great League with Valor Ash.
I kind of like this Master League stuff. I like Great League stuff, but like a lot of times you see like second form stuff or that kind of stuff, right? Mm-hmm. This is like kind of what I envision. Like these are the very strongest Pokemon going at it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like. Yeah. The ones that were used to battling the gyms, the ones that were take down legendaries, the legendary counters, right? Like, it's a pretty cool spread.
The ones I've spent so much dust on and barely used.
Someone saying
I spent so much dust.
Someone saying Party Hat Wurmple.
Only shiny though, no.
Ooh, no Roserade? Oh, okay, Roserade.
Interesting. There's some grass, right? And well, what does that do, right? It puts pressure on Kyogre, Swampert, Tyranitar.
Oh man.
Man, I really got to learn my typings. There's so much to just. But yeah, very cool format. Very glad you invited me to enjoy, watching these Masters draft.
Well, thanks for.
I'll definitely be watching. Oh yeah, and anytime. Yeah, we started early on the East Coast, right? I know West Coast might just be waking up. We had a couple names I recognize coming in to watch the end of the draft, which is much appreciated. Just reading this comment here.
Oh, spicy pick. This is one of my most favorite in Ultra League. It barely maxes over 2,500. Gliscor.
Oh, really?
Gliscor.
Wow.
Really?
Interesting.
That's so much weakness to ice, though, is it not? It's not a lot of ice. Not a lot of ice?
Yeah.
3 teams with ice. Gliscor. Wow.
Didn't see that coming.
Wow, okay.
Do you disagree or agree with this? He says, Brian, it's neat to build a team for the same stuff we've used versus gyms and raids for 3 years, but he feels that it's pretty clear that it's the later round picks are inferior to the earlier round picks.
That's going to be the same. That's same in Great League draft too, right?
Yeah.
Right. The thing is, like, yeah, these there's a huge difference in, like, there's a difference. Late round picks are always worse than first round picks, right? That's true in every draft, right? Why wouldn't you select the better ones first, right? The thing is with Great League draft, like, there might be more counters because, like, there's not this huge stat spread, like between Dialga and Gliscor, for example, right? There's not this massive stat spread that might be able to survive, like an Earthquake, for example, when otherwise, like, equivalent Pokemon might be one-shotted. But there's still some counterplay, and you have to, like, go deeper into your pool to try to figure out what will work and what will complement.
Yeah. And I may sound like a broken record, like, Niantic doing an amazing job giving Snorlax Body Slam, putting it into, much higher rank. You see the boost to Snarl was pretty big for a lot of Pokemon. So as long as Niantic keeps very carefully selecting some of these moves and adding different effects or just adding moves or changing how they work, I think you'll see a lot of these later round picks maybe even be, better. Obviously, the second moves they gave the legendary birds recently make you want to select a Zapdos and an Articuno where maybe you wouldn't at all.
For sure. And I'm sure if they're listening, it would be
They
great
are.
if and the I was saying the PogoRaids people, if they're
Okay.
listening, which I'm sure they are, what would be cool is if they kept track like behind the scenes, not to show ahead of time or show afterwards, immediately afterwards, is what Pokemon they used. So we could see like, okay,
Yeah.
what percentage of Pokemon were like first, second, or third round picks versus later picks,
Yeah.
and then we
That's a
can
good
do
point.
we can do the same thing in the Great League draft. That way, we can actually get some meta, get some data to see like how important are first, second, third round picks in Masters compared to Ultra, compared to Great, to
I
see
like that.
how unbalanced it is. Like I do think it is true the stat spread product is a huge difference in Masters. Like you see like Machamp at like 4,800 versus DL at 7,000, right? Like there's not a lot of times where there's that big a difference. So hopefully they can collect that data so we can get an understanding of like how imbalanced is the draft, like how important is it to select really good cores at the beginning and then just bench pressure then, right? So let's see like we'll and as well the thing is like with Great League we've gotten so used to like because of all the Silph Cups and metas, which I think is amazing, and so good at understanding these Pokemon strengths and weaknesses. Like
Very true.
before Jungle, who would have thought Vigoroth was good?
Vespa Queen, right?
Vespa Queen, right? Like, but Vigoroth is amazing in Open Great League, right? Like as a draft Pokemon, it's probably first 2 rounds pick, right? But we would never figure that out unless we had a cup dedicated to showing like how crazy counter body slam spam is and bulldoze that kind of stuff, or how good what would we have seen that Munchlax is pretty good if not for the Montreal Safari Zone or
That was amazing. Yeah.
right like a number of different Pokemon. We're just so used to it. Master League and Ultra League are still very immature metas right now.
Very true.
And as we get more and more players into it, as we see in Go Battle League, and as we see more of these drafts, like we're gonna see a lot of like strong competition on like on how to utilize these Pokemon effectively. And as well, I think an advantage here in this particular draft format is that they can TM between. So a lot of these
Yep.
like lower CP Pokemon might have like different movesets that they can utilize and to be effective. So
And we're just in Gen 5, right? Gen 5 brought some viable Pokemon. So in a year from now,
oh
maybe it
man,
won't be
there's so
as,
many
right?
Landorus, Kyurem Black and White. There's gonna be
Yeah.
some shakeups in Masters, right? These whole new legendaries are coming through. So
That could be why some moves aren't being introduced for some Pokemon. They might come out after some other more powerful legendaries come out for Gen 5 or 6,
yeah, no,
potentially.
absolutely.
There you
Okay,
have it, though. You got all these teams.
yeah, we're looking forward to the battles. I'm not sure if Dutch Cuckoo probably wants to. I think he has like kids or something like that. So, but we appreciate PogoRaids. Thanks Jimma for and they're gonna stream. We're gonna stream some battles next week. So they like to do a lot of prep on these battles. So they're gonna be very crisp. So we're gonna set up some time next week or sometime after that to live stream these battles. But take a look at this. These are the very best Master League players right now, and ones that you definitely want to follow. I'm gonna tweet it out. I'm sure they have Twitter handles or whatever. Definitely check them out, and I think this is a really good view of what Master League meta is gonna look like for Go Battle League. So, anyways, thanks everyone. Thanks Jimma, and we're gonna be
pleasure.
back in like 90 minutes to do the Great League draft with Valor Ash.
That's awesome.